I am heavy bored.
I may say that the male is entirely hostile. No!
Resources.
Life, friends, is boring. We must not say so.
All right, we are back with the final part of Modern Family, the last American sitcom, season 11. We're joined again by Erik. All of you know him. Erik, welcome back to Heavy Board.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Of course, bro. And you know, one thing I noticed too is I watched at the end of this season, they have like a modern farewell thing, at least on Hulu. I don't know if this aired when it actually aired on TV, probably did.
Mhm.
But just like of the making of the series and the actors and the crew and the writers and all like reminiscing and talking about like the impact, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that they talk about the plaque at the studio that it was filmed. They have a plaque with all of the shows that were huge hits, like engraved on it, from like, the 50s up through now
Mhm.
at like this studio that ABC owns or Disney owns, whatever. And the last name on that plaque as of the filming of that, which I assume was around 2020, is Modern Family. And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, so we appropriately titled this series The Last American Sitcom, like, because it
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. Now it's the last one. I wonder if anything had been engraved since. I mean, have they
Yeah,
had any big hits that came off of that lot?
right. Nothing like this that's getting like that got magazine spreads and stuff like constantly and constantly, consistently winning Emmys, at least for the first couple seasons. And there was a producer in there, like I think it was like head of studio something for television for Disney and ABC, and she was saying something about how, yeah, that this might be the last sitcom because just everything has changed. The way people consume media has changed. Like it's not like sitting around the TV with your family anymore and enjoying it on like a Thursday night at 8 or whatever. And
Mhm.
we talked about this when we first started the series, listeners, but like I think everybody's well aware of that, that it's the last American sitcom for a bunch of different reasons, but the biggest one is probably, yeah, the changing, the kind of consumption, the way we consume TV shows now is much different. And we've already lamented, yeah, how that kind of really eliminates a part of not just a culture in general, but I think, yeah, like how people think of themselves, how people see themselves, like,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll get into that too, kind of the farewell that they give to the characters and all that. But as usual, Erik, well, first, yeah, let's give the name 20 this season, season 11 is the final season of Modern Family for listeners that have been following along, and that aired from 2019 to 2020. And the first episode aired on September 25th, 2019. And this one only has 17 episodes compared to
Mhm.
the 24 and 22 um episode seasons, or I guess technically 18 or something because they make the finale like a two-parter that's together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So yeah,
technically like
17.
18, 17, yeah. But as always, Eric, yeah, how was watching through this, rewatching it for this as we approach this season 11? How does season 11 fare?
Well, I mean, they obviously knew this was going to be their last season. And so, I mean, every episode just kind of tries to wrap up either some sort of character that they introduced along the way, they want to bring back and kind of give some sort of closure to, and also wrap up like what's going to happen to Alex, Luke, like all the kids. Where's everyone going to go? So, I mean, that's all addressed. And so, again, like it wasn't, it's not the best season. Um,
Right.
it's nice if you've been watching for 10 seasons and you get to see like how the story ends. But again, not as many laughs just because I think they're going more for uh, closing up certain plot lines.
And there's like, yeah, I started noticing that about halfway through that when the flashbacks start coming in from like season one, two, three, where I'm like, okay, at first I was a little annoyed by it. I was like, oh, this sentimentality is overtaking it. But then I was kind of won over it by like the end of the season where I was like, oh yeah, I like the show. I'm a fan of the show. So like when you do watch it, they're kind of giving you a closure to the fans of being like, yeah, these characters that you've known and loved for 11 years, they're just kind of giving them a nice little wrapped up ending. Yeah. So some of the jokes, they start rehashing certain things. What we've already talked about that starts around season 7 or so, 6 or 7.
Mhm.
Get like rehashed plots, changed plots, all of that stuff. But yeah, this one was definitely not as many laughs, but also there was I want to give the writers and like directors and all that credit because it does create a little bit of a sentimental feeling for, yeah, even though it's a fictionalized show, you do grow to know and love these characters and things. And so like this is why people get so upset when there's a bad finale like
Mhm.
of a series. People get furious because they put so much time into this. They love the characters in the fictional world, and then you just drop the ball in the last episode or whatever. Everybody gets pissed off. This one, I feel like we'll get to the ending here as we get to it. It was more of like a blah, like a kind of a bland ending, but also it didn't make you angry and it didn't make you like really sorrowful. Like it felt okay as like you weren't like pissed off at the ending, like because like well, that's bullshit. Like
Yeah.
like there was none of that. And I get it's a sitcom, it's a little different for dramas, but like
Yeah, when Phil's at the diner and it fades to black and you hear that Journey song, man, it was a powerful ending.
yeah,
Yeah, they can't. They're not going to give it a Sopranos. So, they can't there can't be or a Game of Thrones type disappointment for
yeah.
real fans of the show. I thought
Lost.
I thought it
Yeah.
was a good solid ending.
Yeah. Which is, I think deserves credit because I mean, it's harder, that's hard to pull off, period. But also, it's just like, it could have been so easy for them to just do something and like not care about it, not care about how it ends up or what happens. They could have done, like we talked about, they were leaning into like cartoon humor and like randomness as jokes and stuff. And like they could have leaned into that or something. But and I'm glad they also didn't do like a Seinfeld style, like make it super meta and like, like I am glad that that's not how they wanted to go with that, because I mean, sitcoms, yeah, most people don't care about the endings that much in sitcoms. It's more the dramas. But I was just thinking as we talk about it, I was like, man, the early 2000s was quite a time for terrible endings to like beloved years long series that people were invested in. Lost, yeah,
Yeah,
Sopranos, like everybody hated these endings.
yeah,
Breaking Bad, some people criticized it, but honestly, that it wasn't terrible. I thought the way they ended Breaking Bad was fine too. Like
yeah,
at least it gave a full arc. Like you kind of knew what was going to happen, not the exact events, but you knew. Yeah, spoiler, Walter White was going to die. The very first episode, he's diagnosed with terminal cancer, and then,
Oh, worst
it's
thing
just,
they did with that was that Netflix movie or whatever
yeah,
that was just that it sort of almost ruined some of the show if you saw that. Same way with that
yeah.
Sopranos movie.
Yeah, 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 same. I never watched the Sopranos movie just because I didn't care when it came out, but like I did watch the El Camino and it was I was like, what? Like this
Mhm.
doesn't even make sense for the extension of the story. Like nobody cares about Jesse. Like everybody
Yeah.
pretends to care about fucking Jesse. Jesse should have been killed off. Like I don't understand why they carried him through the whole series. But yeah, so we had this, you got our first thoughts. Listen, we're talking about random shows now, but like yeah, episode 1 picks up basically where season 10 left off with Dylan and Haley having their twins and they're living with the Dumfies with these young children. And the episode is appropriately titled New Kids on the Block.
Mhm.
Um, Funniest part of this episode for me was the Cam with the troubled youths was actually really great, like a great bit on the stolen clown figurine.
Yeah.
Uh, And the way Eric Stone Street plays it is actually really great too. He's like, "Yeah, how about that? A principal that plays rock and roll music, huh?" Like just like doing stuff like really great.
Yeah.
Also, I was reminded of the very brief failed product launch for Facebook with the Portal, or I don't even remember if that was what it was actually called, but remember they tried to compete with Amazon Alexa for a little bit, and it was when Amazon Alexa had just come out with like the video one,
Mhm.
like an assistant kind of device, I think Google tried the same thing. It didn't quite work like Alexa did. I don't know why. Um, every tech company was doing this, but I had forgotten about that. And I was like, man, just a few years ago, like another failed product from Facebook, like before they'd even changed their name to Meta.
Yeah. And this show is like kind of so on top of it of keeping up with like new technologies. It's like it manages to work its way in there. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
We started this off by the 2009 inaugural season talking about kind of even nostalgia for tech from like 15 years ago, like for something like that. And I was just like, oh, even tech that like people tried to launch in like 5 years ago, and we've already forgotten about the
yeah.
failure of that product and how it didn't take off and nobody liked it and it was kind of awkward to use and like, yeah,
Mhm.
God, dude, that's the real beauty of Steve Jobs versus all the other kind of tech visionaries was he understood that like it has to be like useful and like intuitive. It can't just be a cool tech thing. It has to be like useful to people's everyday lives and then it'll take off no matter what, even if it's ugly.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, damn, we're missing that. Plus I've been listening to this fucking audiobook of Helen Andrews' Boomers, her book about the baby boomers.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
It's
it's
good.
fantastic. Anybody who's understands like what the baby boomers have done to the world, it's very cathartic to read or listen to. It's on
Mhm.
Spotify Premium listeners, yeah. Uh, where she just talks about Steve Jobs is one of the boomers she profiles, so maybe that's why he's on my mind. But yeah, and then I was thinking also that episode one, maybe it was just me because I have a newborn listeners that have been listening to this. I have like a 6 week old baby. So there was that angle of it too, that it was poignant for me in terms of just seeing, the family stressing about trying to get the kid to sleep so that they get a moment of peace, kind of thing. Everybody has their own ideas. There's
Mhm.
conflict over, and it's, sitcom humor, blah, blah, conflict over taking care of the babies. And they kind of have Haley be the millennial with her, some person she found on Instagram that wrote some terrible book about parenting or whatever, and like is swearing by it and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. But then I was thinking there was obviously always funny bits, but then I was just like, I don't think I have notes on any bits besides the Cam Youth on that first
Yeah.
episode.
I mean, there was some I guess one of the what points was Manny is trying to get Sherry back, and
Right.
Sherry is
Yeah.
the voice of Jay's dog bed commercials, the dog beds by Stella. So yeah, we're still on like, Jay still has his dog bed business. And yeah, Manny tries to kind of win her back. It doesn't really work. But yeah, it's really Cam's plot with the at-risk youth, or they're supposed to be at-risk youth. It was great. One of the kids tried to leave, um, and they're like, I'm going to go back home. And Cam's like, I've read your file, Belinda. No one cares or knows where you are.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And when Cam, like during the interview, when he's talking about it, he's like, you know what? I really bonded with those kids. We all just really bonded. We all had some hardcore bondage. Like just kind of those lines. So there was some, good moments like that. Uh, I guess Alex is in Antarctica. Instead of taking some job, she like, high paying job there. She's like on some expedition in Antarctica.
And
Um,
that sets up her storyline for the rest of the season here. Like they were already kind of running out of things to do with her, but then she just keeps going. Oh, we're going to get to that, like the episode of like the anti-corporate thing, where like an
mhm.
insult you can throw at a company is that they're multinational corporation. So an international company, that's an insult now for like companies, but at least it was at this time, still is now, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that as it comes up. There's this whole episode about it entirely. And, that's the thing that was great about this. And I was thinking, this season wasn't, and really the whole series watching it here, it never really succumbed too much to the woke hysteria. There were just moments, as we've covered, listeners, go back and listen to this whole thing. Eric and I have done over like 36 hours of this. But they did capture the cultural stuff. I mean, we've covered a lot of that as we've gone through, the kind of the normalization of marijuana, the kind of that comes through back here in the final season, and that started right around season 4 or 5. You know, in the culture, this is Colorado had legalized, like California, like it was just starting to be a thing. They've
Mhm.
covered, yeah, you know, the hysteria over corporations making money and profit. That's like a hysterical thing now in the culture, like a large company making large amounts of profits. You know, the kind of the woke hysteria for college students and like the protests that were happening on college campuses. There's like that episode with Alex that I was just talking about where she's like, "Oh no, I'm so morally conflicted because I make all this money working for a leading edge tech company and research thing." Like, and it's so
Yeah.
much fun. I get to do cutting edge research, but also they're my giant corporation that doesn't care about ethics enough or something. Like,
Mhm.
and you know, they don't say what those ethics are ever, but you know, that's part of it too. So that they do capture that culture, Manny going woke at college, all of that kind of stuff. And Manny's kind of less woke in this season than he was in season 9 and 10, where like they
Yeah.
kind of use him as like to come into a scene and be like, well, actually, the woke thing is this, you know, and then Manny just kind of does that. Alex too. They're
Mhm.
kind of off of that a little bit more. Um, I don't know. Yeah, just the things that are always captured in this show that you could see culturally as it shifts, the shift to social media, being obsessed with everything going through social media, blah, blah, blah. Just a great show to capture this. Really, I think looking back, it's easier, but I mean, we talked about the whole time just how radically the culture has shifted over like a 10-year period. Like it's just such a massive cultural shift, and it's so massive that people don't even know how to talk about it. So maybe it's easier to talk about it through a show like this that actually captures the moments and also makes jokes and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, didn't have too many notes on episode 1. I did notice that Lily was used very sparingly in this season, and they've been
Uh,
kind of going towards that for the last couple of seasons. But
yeah, just because I know she's not a great actress, so it's hard to like really give her anything to do. You give her some one-liners, and she's made sort of like the butt of the joke sometimes.
she makes
Uh,
little quips about like her gay fathers and stuff. Like there
yeah.
was a line at one point where somebody, was it Manny or I don't know, somebody who was like vulnerable and says something, and then Lily's just like, "Oh God, I didn't think this house could get any gayer."
Yeah,
Like, you know,
yeah.
like walks away, like just like little quips like that.
Yeah, I in this show episode, I just also noted that we finally get the names of Haley and Dylan's twins. It's Poppy and George. Poppy's just kind of a weird name to go with, but
It
and
also
then George
covers the
is a
millennial
classic name.
quirk. Yeah, the millennial quirk of naming their kids weird things.
Yeah.
That's like we're all living through now. Like you can see it too. If I ever go to like kid events with my children, it's always like the name tags or something at like Gymboree. It's all kinds of millennial quirk in that shit, dude. Like all kinds of millennial, like Paxton, Dax with two X's or something. Like, you know, this like weird names. I'm not even talking like foreign names or something. I'm just talking like a strange, you know, millennials naming their kids after like the evil girl in the ring. The evil little
Wait,
girl.
wait, wait, what's her name?
Isn't her name like um what was that little girl's name? It's supposed to be like it starts with an S, I think it's like Samoria or something or
Gamora. So okay, so maybe yeah,
something like that.
I can
Like
sort of see that.
the ring. Like literally I knew a couple that was yeah, my age that had a kid that named him after like the villain girl in the ring and were like so stoked about it. I was like, oh yeah, name her after this evil little fictional girl. Okay. Uh
Yeah, Samara. Yeah,
Samara, yeah,
Samara.
Samara, yeah. But yeah, so they capture that too. Yeah, Poppy. That's dude, you know, it's funny because yeah, I just named my 6-week-old baby and it was we would go into the name books and stuff like that leading up to this. Dude, like the top 100 names right now, like for like millennials and stuff, Poppy, Piper, all this kind of shit everywhere, like all over the place, dude. There's gonna be so many fucking Pipers like in like 20 years from now. It's becoming like a top 5 name, yeah, for women and stuff. Like it's just
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Jackson.
with an X, yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. Jack with an X. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of that, especially I guess the proximity to California here where we live is one thing, but yeah. Uh episode 2 snapped. Uh honestly, dude, the smart fridge with Cam and Mitch is again the greatest bit in this whole thing. It's so good. The smart fridge bit and like their like couples quarrel. Uh fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's great. And I love how they kind of set it up because also there's something else like throughout this season, like we don't actually see Pepper,
Yeah.
but we see Ronaldo a few times comes, but he's always like giving updates or Mitch and Cam are giving updates about what Pepper's doing and why he can't make it. And it's always something about like his facelift or something like that.
Or a
Um,
thruple. There's a
yeah,
polyamory bit in this.
yeah,
Pepper
this
and
is
Ronaldo
the
added a woman to their relationship. And then they're like, oh, now they're in thruples counseling.
hmm
And this
Yeah,
was the start of that, the kind of the next part to the sexual revolution here, which was just people doing insane things because they saw it online.
yeah. It says they met on a dating site called Let's Just See What Happens. Um, yeah, so yeah, and then the fridge is introduced, and that sort of ends up becoming that third party in Mitch and Cam's relationship. And even Mitch makes the joke, like, who would add someone to the relationship that they've just met?
Yeah.
And like, he's talking to the refrigerator, and which is yeah, something else electronic. So yeah, that sort of that was a great joke.
And like it makes, the dating app culture kind of thing. It's like, oh, who's meeting up and having sex with people that they just met online? Like, kind of,
Mhm.
yeah, that's everybody now. Apparently, there's a huge sect that isn't, but I don't know. I don't even know if I believe that, dude. Like, people always say, oh, kids aren't having sex. I'm like, really? Are they not? Like, are they?
Yeah.
Like, where are they getting this data from? Where are you asking people? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. And also in this episode, so Gloria is still being mentored by Phil, who is still teaching at the community college. And he's been watching a lot of Snapped, which again, this was like, this was big even before then, but they bring it in to the show here. A lot of the true crime series,
Yeah.
uh, that everyone is still obsessed with
That
now.
podcast that got huge that does it. What was the name of that
Serial,
podcast? What?
serial.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Serial, and there's another one like there's a bunch. Yeah, there's a bunch that are like huge, and they talk about like yeah, the true. Honestly, dude, anybody that's binged like some true crime stuff, and I get into that every once in a while. I like to like watch the little episodes on like Forensic Files or something, or like sometimes it's just good background stuff on the TV. I like the vibe, especially of the early 90s kind of Forensic Files, like the 90s stuff. I like the
Yeah.
graphics and all of that and the vibe and like the lighting. But if you watch too much of that, dude, you start getting paranoid as fuck. Like I felt it before. Or like, you're watching something about like a family that got massacred in some small town in Oklahoma or whatever, and like because some meth heads were trying to rob them or whatever, because they saw a safe in the bedroom when they installed cable or something, like it just something like that. And then you start watching, hours of that back to back, like you start getting paranoid as fuck. Like you start being like, oh my God, somebody's gonna break into my house. This is how
Mhm.
women do it. Like they watch these things, like these rape things all the time, and then think they're constantly gonna get like, this kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, it does fuck with your head. So it's funny that they have Phil do it, and it's funny that Phil is like, because dude, I think in this season too, it just proves that Ty Burrell is the superior physical comedy actor on like this entire series. His falls, his trips, like throughout the entire 11 years, is just nobody comes close, dude. Nobody else is doing that kind of physical comedy on the whole show. And like, yeah, like his fall, I made a note about that when he thinks Gloria's trying to like kill him or something. Like, and he like
Yeah.
gets that weird phone call from him when he's like alone in his classroom. He like picks up his stuff and then flops. Like, it just was such a funny way to do it. Like, yeah, Ty Burrell just could do it like nobody else. Doesn't get enough credit for that level of comedy.
Yeah.
he's no Chris Farley or something, but like, yeah, he was pretty good for a family sitcom. Uh,
Yeah, and uh, he thinks that yeah, Gloria like had like hit a girl with her car just to
yeah,
eliminate
yeah,
competition for some like unpaid, uncredited internship that he's offering. Which I thought's great. Like unpaid and uncredited. All right, great.
yeah. You
Um,
get nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, Gloria does end up winning it anyway because she had the best test score. Um, and yeah, and Claire, she's competing to get on the cover of Corner Office magazine. So she's just like pretending to be sick to get the kids out of the house or something.
Dude, that
Um,
that was my big critique of this episode. It was another one like the New York episode, I think in season 9 or 10, where the story didn't make sense for what the age of the kids are now. Like if the kids were younger, I could see her doing this, but like, dude, you have adult children that all like just live there and like have jobs and stuff. Just tell them to leave the house if you have like a
yeah, I
big interview with
know.
them. Like, I mean, like it wasn't like, yeah, that's pretty normal for your parents. Like, well, I'm having an interview come over here, so I need everybody out of the house for 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not that crazy. And I get you won't, there's no sitcom if you did that, right? So I get that. But
Yeah,
I was just thinking, that just another one of those New York things where it's like, why is she lying to her adult children again to like get them out of the house for her interview? Why does she
yeah.
have to pretend to be sick to like miss a
Just give her
Disneyland
something to
trip?
do
Like, yeah,
on the show. That's yeah,
yeah.
easily.
Just another one of those things. It's like, it would have been fun. And it wasn't that funny. That's
Hmm.
the real crime. Yeah. Whereas like it could have been funnier if we just took into consideration that these kids are all in their 20s. Like the youngest is like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like, working full time and dating like 40-year-old women.
Hmm.
Which is something they put on Luke now. Luke, that's just like something that carries through the rest of this season. He dated the one MILF at like the country club, and
Hmm.
now that's just what he does exclusively.
Yeah.
I guess captures a part of the culture of like dating apps and things like that, right? Especially in Southern California, the divorcees in their 40s that all want to explore. And that
Yeah.
means like dating a younger man and realizing that like they don't want to do that anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was my only real critique of that episode. Small, but yeah, just another one that just doesn't make sense for the age of the kids now. It would have made sense like a couple seasons ago when they were still younger or something, but
Hmm.
but yeah, uh, uh, solid but not great. Yeah, not the best season, but still. Uh, episode 3, Perfect Pairs.
Yeah, I think I mean the best part of this one was the plot with Gloria and her sister. So they bring the sister back in to kind of try to, last appearance for her. Um, she's getting married, and Gloria thinks that the guy's just a gold digger after like the hot sauce money or whatever
Yeah,
that she's selling. Um, and it turns out that the guy actually really does have money, and he's not a gold digger. And so, I mean, that was all right. I didn't really have a lot of notes on this one. Phil preps for SCARB, which is Southern California annual real estate banquet or something like that. And he has to come up with a magic trick that'll top what he did the previous year, because he never has to pay for a drink in any real estate bar in town.
there's a great fill line that I did in the beginning of this because I think he comes downstairs and like everybody's trying to avoid helping him. And he
Mhm.
like sees Alex. He's like, "Oh, Alex, good. Now take this dove. Try not to rile her up. She's about to spend the better part of an hour in my pants." And I'm like, yeah. Then it like cuts
uh,
to the credits. It's just a great Phil line. He's
yeah.
got another great one was like the grandparent thing when like Phil and Claire are becoming grandparents and they're like realizing that they're old.
Mhm.
He's got another great line that I have written for that. What he's like, I guess it's the grandparents' table for us. And Phil's just like, huh, Yeah, I guess I could get used to shaving naked at the gym. Like, like just like being naked all the time at the gym locker room. Like the way old people do.
Yeah.
Uh
Um,
yeah, go on.
oh, the Jay and the gardener. Actually, yeah, that was a pretty funny storyline. Yeah, Jay trying to be like an everyman, someone who can, just talk to the gardener, and he realizes that like, oh yeah, like the gardener like loaned him money for some reason like years ago, and like they've already talked several times, and he just acts like it's the first time they're ever actually meeting. But and he ends up giving him his model airplane because of a misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's funny too. And I wrote a note about it. It was like kind of the first woke-ish kind of joke line that we get in this season where it's like kind of like, you know, oh, you're not working class. This worship of the working class, this vague group of people that like people just worship and refer to all the times in political discourse, where like Manny is like making Jay prove that he's working class or something. And then yeah, he like gives his Manny makes him give his plane to the gardener because he feels bad about being a straight white man that was successful. So he's gonna give, therefore this poor broke gardener deserves to take the plane or whatever. And
Mhm.
just another kind of sort of woke race bit. Modern, yeah, funny still, because yeah, I laughed at it too with the gardener and Jay not knowing his name and stuff. But yeah, just more of that kind of yeah, the woke lines, just subtle again, not the whole episode, not just a small little storyline for Jay. It's always Jay that they have to teach, has to learn the lesson of wokeness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great bit. And then he like gives the tuxedo to the guy. I can't even remember what else happened in that one. Perfect pairs.
Cam and Mitch get the gay dads as upstairs neighbors,
Oh right, yeah,
and they're trying to impress them by kind of being who they're not, pretending to be into going to museums.
and like fitness
Yeah.
gurus, and yeah, yeah, that is funny. That's great too. There's a great line I think Mitch has in that where he's like, I'm not entirely sure that they don't get a lot of joy out of making other people feel bad about themselves. Like it's a type of person. Like especially in SoCal. Like yeah, it's a type of person that does
Yeah.
that. They definitely get off like, humble bragging about their like yeah, their like workout routines or whatever it is, or like
Yeah.
their fitness thing. Slightly woke episode with episode 4, the pool party. Not again, not crazy. Positivity kind of thing to it. But they make it funny. They make it relatable. They make it a little bit more than like the woke line that was going around online at the time, beautiful at any size type thing. They make it more about, yeah, like the self-confidence thing, love yourself and doesn't matter, right? But like
Yeah.
they're not lying about like, oh, you're beautiful even though you're 400 pounds, like, but if you like yourself at sure, if you like yourself at that, then fine, but
Yeah.
we don't have to pretend that everybody's attracted to you and stuff. So they don't go so far with it as like the woke stuff. So it's still a joke, just like everything else with this show. It's well done. It's well written. It's a joke. They're making fun of the excesses even. And maybe they're even taking a stab at like yeah the gay culture obsessiveness with looks and things like that, and like yeah taking steroids, all of that. But yeah, we have Lily's insecurity storyline, normal teen storyline works out, and then Cam and Mitch being insecure with the body positivity, uh, which is great. Ronaldo is really every time that actor comes in, like ever since they brought Ronaldo into it was like halfway through the series.
Mhm.
So like season 4 or 5, because he's like helping the wedding planner plan their wedding for Mitch and
Yeah, he's
Cam.
helping out Pepper. Yeah.
The actor's been great, and they have great one-liners for him. He's just always been funny whenever he's on screen. That Ronaldo guy.
Mhm.
Uh,
No,
she's like, yeah, look at Larry, and he's 50. He's like, I'm 38, you wicked old witch. And the
yeah,
guy's clearly like over 50. Like,
that was a great line. Also, Cam and Mitch are trying to tell Lily how beautiful she is, and Cam says, you're so beautiful, Scarlett Johansson would play you in a movie until Twitter told her she couldn't, which,
Right.
again, that is like something that was happening where, there
It
was
was the
always,
first big blow up over the race casting. Like it was the first big thing. Huge star, Scarlett Johansson, huge action star, and everybody's because it's some fucking anime live action. It's always some fucking anime live action that causes the
yeah.
fuck anime, and all this shit that it's done to the art world. It's destroyed it. Um, but yeah, that was like one of the was it like Eon Flux? What the fuck was that even movie that
I
like
was it not Ian Flux was some,
That's Charlize Theron, I think. And I
oh, was
think
it
she got it
oh
too because I think that
Ghost
one's
in the
supposed to
Shell?
be Ghost in the
I,
Shell.
I
Okay,
think it
yeah.
was I think it was Ghost in a Shell.
Again, these fucking
I could
anime
be wrong.
titles, dude. Just these animated titles, Eon Flux, like Ghost in the Shell, like fuck off with your crazy weird Japanese shit. Like get out of here. Uh but yeah, there's this is they have to make Jay a housewife in this episode as well. Uh yeah, the corporate evil job storyline for Alex all season. And there's
Uh,
this line with Joe. Joe says this line at some point where they say something and then Joe's like, "Hey, I'm a child. That hurts my feelings." With kind of like some therapy speak woke stuff. And then like Jay has a line where he's like, "Damn hippie private schools." Like kind of
yeah.
like
Uh, there's also a great plot point in here with Jay being really angry at Stella for like I guess going over and playing with the Chihuahua down the street, like because he thinks it's her boyfriend or something. And he's like, ah, she's playing with that greasy Chihuahua again. And it's just clearly he's talking about like the Mexican kid or whatever. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they play it like yeah, it's like his kid is uh,
He's
seeing
like,
like
she's
he's not
probably hanging out with
she's not
that.
good enough.
He's like, she's probably down there with that oversexed chihuahua. He like runs out
Yeah,
of the room. Like, yeah, he's like all nervous.
yeah, I thought that was good. Um, and yeah, Phil is trying to hunt down the person that keeps stealing the sign from him and Gloria's house that they're trying to sell. And we get the return of Gil Thorpe
Or
briefly because he thinks it may be Gil. So they do like a sort of mafia type scene where Phil appears like as the barber shaving Gil, and Gil's like, stop doing this whole Sweeney Todd bit, and and Phil's like, I'm Seeley from The Color Purple,
yeah.
like he's fun to be seen, which is just like great because like that's obviously Phil is going to do some kind of gay choice like that. Yeah, he because he loves brings back how much Phil loves black women, so of course he's emulating a black woman, and uh, Phil eventually ends up giving Gloria the job um, at his like real estate company, and yeah, she says he's like, this her name on the door would be Gloria Delgado, and Jay's like, Delgado, that's your working name. The hits just keep coming because
Yeah.
he's just like, I thought that was great.
Because
Um,
Jay has to be a housewife now. All his money and the nannies and all of that have been whole storylines. And now Jay is just like a housewife packing lunches all of a sudden
yeah, and
because it's
there's
the changing times.
there's a scene where Jay he gets a call from Gloria and she says, "Did you see uh, the eggplant and peach emoji I sent you or something like that?" Which this was emojis were coming a new thing and people
Hmm.
were just like eggplant emoji, peach emojis.
Splash emoji. Yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of like the punchline of jokes for a little bit when they first came out. And Jay's just like, yep, I got it. Got some eggplant parmesan and some peach cobbler for dinner tonight
Yeah.
because he thought that was what she was texting about. But
It is kind of crazy that the eggplant became the penis
mhm.
emoji. Like, why the eggplant? Like, like how
Yeah,
did the eggplant get that role? Not like the corn cob, not like the anything, like not any other little
the
image that
cucumber,
like,
banana, those
yeah,
to
that
go with.
resembles a penis. It's the eggplant. And then like, yeah, the peach. At least the peach makes more sense because that's always been like a butt like joke. Even when I was a kid, I remember like 90s movies making a joke about how a peach looks like a butt with like the little crack down the center,
Yeah.
something like that.
No, there's that. I mean, that old Stranglers song, Peaches,
Oh, right, right,
walking
right.
on the beaches, looking at the peaches. That's about girls' asses in
Dude,
bikinis.
it
So.
always makes me think of that what was the Presidents of the United States track or what
Oh.
moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it's sex. It's sex. But yeah, that's funny too to make fun of that. That dude, honestly, I hate emojis. I hate that that's a cultural thing. I think they're terrible. They're ugly. They're stupid. And dude, like when I was working from home with the that tech job, it was constantly people doing emoji reactions on like video conferences and bullshit. And it was just such bullshit, dude. People are like, oh, party hat. It comes it's so imagine a meeting full of like 100 people on Zoom. Everybody's hitting the party hats, dude. So your whole screen is just fucking like blowing up with these party hat emojis. Like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Like,
Yeah. When people I know, like, out, not coworkers, but like friends or so, use them, that's fine because it's usually not like overused also, or it's just like a ton of them. But yeah, coworkers, it just,
just
yeah,
annoys me, dude. And then
yeah,
ever since
group
they came out
chats
with the
right there.
skin tone ones
Yeah.
post George Floyd summer in 2020 here, it just pisses me off because now the thumbs up or something like that, you would see the thumbs up, there'd be like 10 thumbs up because they were all different fucking shades of
Yeah.
like race.
You have to choose which one.
Yeah, so I would purposely click like a black and brown one to like add mine on, like kind of thing. As I'm just like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck you guys, yeah, fuck you guys."
Yeah, I do the same thing. If
Yeah.
anyone questions it, I'm like, I don't know how these things work. I
So,
don't
oh, I
know.
just pushed it. I don't know. Yeah, I just hit the
Or like,
thumbs up.
I don't know. I'm not yellow.
Like, why does it matter which one I did? I mean, I thought it didn't matter. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
does it
There's no white
matter?
one. There's only, yeah.
There is now. Yeah.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
there would be a yellow one, a brown one, a black one, a white one. Like it would just be like five, six, seven different race like colored thumbs up and like underneath a little message. And I'm just like, okay, like yeah, emojis were a mistake. Uh, it never even had to be. It could just be that little Facebook white glove. That's literally what it could have been like. But no, we had to make it. We had to constantly remind people of that all the time.
yeah, people need the representation in emojis.
But then like there is this, and it comes up later on here in this episode, but it starts in this episode with yeah, Alex hating her Antarctica research job, basically being like, this is miserable. I don't want to be freezing cold in some remote, science lab in the middle of Antarctica taking ice samples out of the earth. So she comes back, but then she's conflicted because this corporate company that is cutting edge research and technology doesn't want her or she doesn't know if she wants to do that.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think it's a missed opportunity. Somebody like Alex not getting a PhD, they could have kept her in college for a long time with like PhD stuff. She kind of is treated like that, like with the Caltech professor guy who they bring back, like being like, come join my research team. It's usually, I get it, at the big schools that like attract a lot of the top candidates. Sometimes that happens and you'd be an undergrad doing like grad level research with these people because you're just advanced enough to do it, and just join in seamlessly. So it's not totally unheard of if she's this, some genius student or whatever. But I was like, if somebody like her, who is as successful as she was in like robotics and technology stuff as a woman, she would definitely be getting a PhD and like doing that whole thing and probably making even more money, yeah, working for like a robotics lab or something like.
Yeah.
Um, but whatever. It's a TV show. I know too much about academia. That's all I had for episode 4.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
And then we have episode 5, dude, The Last Halloween.
Yeah.
The last Halloween episode the Halloween is one where they've done an episode of every single season. with Halloween all 11 years. They skip Christmas some years. They even skipped a Thanksgiving kind of thing before.
Mhm.
But Halloween, and we've talked about this before, the cultural stuff about how everybody Halloween's like the safe, edgy thing that like people, yeah,
Yeah, and it was never like again, when I was growing up, adults didn't do Halloween unless they had a kid. There was no adult like there were very few adult Halloween parties.
yeah.
Now you just hear about them
I remember
all the
as
time.
I remember as a kid, there was one neighbor at the end of the court growing up when I was a kid in Perry Hall, Maryland, where he was very, and his name was John, and he was, I was friends with his son and all that, but like he would get very into the Halloween, like scaring the neighborhood kids was like his whole thing. So he
Mhm.
would do these elaborate pranks and we'd have like something set up where you think it's just like a dummy doll set up, but it would be him like literally standing stark still, and he had like this bowl of candy on his lap, and he had this horrific, costume on, and he would just sit there dead still and just wait for like a little girl to come over, and he would jump up and like everybody runs screaming. Like he did this like every year, but he did something different every year, but like in that vein of like tricking you and like making you terrified. He'd like pop out.
Yeah,
So that was like one guy on a whole fucking court of like, 100 homes or whatever the fuck it was,
yeah.
in my little suburb. Yeah.
I had
One
that same.
guy.
I had a
Yeah.
neighbor like that too. Yeah, but they had kids. So
Right. Exactly. He had like
I
four
mean,
kids. Yeah. This
yeah,
guy. Yeah.
if you have kids, like I totally get it. It's a fun thing to do with your kids, but I can't imagine just like, no kids and you're like going
Yeah.
all out for Halloween. I don't know. It's uh yeah, but that happens now because there's so many childless you know, uh people in their 40s, 30s, 40s and 50s now. They just Halloween is like their personality almost. And yeah, it's something that's very new.
And I thought, as far as the Halloween episodes go, this was one of the weaker ones. Like they had some really, I mean, they constantly flash back and refer to that. Is it season 4 or 5 when Gloria does like the witch, welcome to your nightmare, ho 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 ho. Like it's
Yeah.
so, like that was the best. That was the peak. That was literally the best Halloween episode they ever did. Like,
Mhm.
and again, it's hard to keep that up, but yeah, just
But the kids are grown too. You
right.
know what I
Yeah, that's true.
mean? It's
Yeah,
like they don't really care. Like, yeah, it's funny because the kids care the least about Halloween.
it's funny because like yeah, they still have Joe's like 6 years old. You think that like Gloria and like Jay would like be really into the Halloween stuff, but I guess it's not really in Jay's character and stuff to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, and Gloria's afraid of all the like demon stuff. Like she's
right.
too
Yeah,
Catholic. Um,
I did love the Fudgy Daddy candy bar.
yeah, that was my favorite part too. Just Jay. I mean, and again, this goes back to like this was just natural for him and his character because it's something that Al Bundy would do. Like, they discontinued, some like, Biggins magazine or something, and he would, go online or search it down
Yeah.
or track it down, right? So Jay has to track down yeah, he said there was an accident at oh God, it was a great name too. The Naga Snacky. It was a Japanese candy company, the Nagasaki Candy Company, and their candy bar, the Fudgy Buddy was or Fudgy Duddy was discontinued. And so, after countless hours of research, and Gloria's like, it was one Google search.
Yeah.
I finally tracked one down, and I think he was going to give it to Joe, right?
Right. He
Or
wanted
was it?
Joe to experience it because it
Yeah,
was his favorite Halloween King growing up in like the 60s, 50s. Like, yeah.
yeah. And I think Manny accidentally gives it out to someone, so he's trying to, go through the neighborhood. Manny said it was a Spider-Man that he gave it to, so they're just trying to look for any Spider-Man. But uh, a great line was Jay was asking the kids if they had seen the candy bar, and they're like, "I've never heard of it." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm sure you guys have seen the commercial. It's an old one from the '70s. It was the first time a woman ever touched a baseball." And it's just like talking to like 10-year-olds, like they would know this.
And I again, I want to give the writers credit because I think the way they handled Jay's like, nostalgia and then his lament towards the end of the episode, where he gives kind of the ending sign-off speech monologue,
Mhm.
where he talks about lamenting the world that, the world he grew up in doesn't exist anymore, and kind of like that fudgy duddy candy bar, like just was something that he wanted to get his hands on because it was just a piece of that world that like he could just reminisce and just, sit there and eat. And I'm approaching middle age. People get upset when I say I'm middle aged or whatever. I'm 36 now, listener, right? Like I'm a
Mhm.
few years away from where if I said I was middle aged, people wouldn't blink an eye if like 40 or whatever. Okay. But like, and I've seen it already happen. Like there are products from my childhood in the 90s, like candies, things like that, products, all of those things that if I saw an old commercial for, I would be filled with nostalgia, and you cannot get it anywhere unless, yeah, you're, bidding on eBay or something for an old box of it or something, and the price is
Mhm.
up because everybody wants it, that little bit of nostalgia, that little bit of comfort from their childhood. So I'm only just beginning to like see products that I loved be discontinued and stuff for whatever reason, whatever reason they discontinue it. Companies discontinue products for all kinds of reasons. And I'm just starting to see, like something like even like something stupid like the toothpaste you like or whatever. Well, they don't make that anymore. Like they just stopped making that flavor or whatever whatever it
Mhm.
is, like something like that. Face cream, there's always been sitcom tropes about stuff like this. I'm thinking of the Seinfeld with the Today sponges, like the birth control
Uh,
method that they discontinue. So Elaine has to buy this ware like through her 400 boxes or whatever to like keep her for a couple years, things like that. As you reach a certain point in life, you do start to see that in reality. Like you think it's always going to be there. It's not always going to be there. Even candies, dude. Like I don't know if it's because I live on the West Coast now and I grew up on the East Coast. There are two candies that I would get, and they were kind of old-timey candies when I was a kid in the 90s. They
mhm.
were Brock's Maple Nut Goodies, or Broch, whatever, how the fuck you say that name. Dude, I can't find them anywhere on the West Coast. They do not exist. I've tried to order them online. Like you can get a big thing on Amazon, but like that's too much and like you don't know how old it is when it's coming out of an Amazon warehouse. When I
Yeah,
was a kid,
I've
dude,
never
it would
heard
be
of
in
them.
every Walgreens, every CVS I would ever go into. There would be a little bag of it, and the packaging was hideous. It was like brown and ugly, like very old packaging still. I don't think they make them anymore. Like, I think they discontinued them because people weren't buying them. But they're so good. They're like a little nut that's like dipped in like sugared, like kind of like it's so delicious.
Oh, hmm.
That and burnt peanuts I can find more often, but they're still like even if I go to an old time candy store, I have to ask like kind of like where are the burnt peanuts? Like the red kind of candy coated.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
don't they call them Boston? Aren't those like Boston baked beans
It's a
or
slightly
whatever
different
Boston?
thing. That's the one
Okay.
people always hand me when I ask them for it is they hand me Boston baked beans. And I'm like, it's close. It's not the same thing. Again, I don't know if it's just an East Coast thing, Mid-Atlantic, where I grew up. They were huge, but like it is so much harder to find now. And they used to sell them at the grocery store, dude. Like I used to be able to go into like a Weiss market down there, which I think doesn't exist anymore in Baltimore. They've been bought out by a bigger competitor, and they had like a big barrel that you could scoop into, a bag of like those red burnt peanuts that stain your fingers and tongue and all, like. And apparently, my grandfather loved them too, and they were like an old school candy because they were the shitty peanuts that people wouldn't pay money for when they bought like roasted nuts. So they would just
Mhm.
cover them in sugar and like candy and dye them red so you couldn't see the flaws in the peanuts and stuff, and then just give them to kids as like candy. But whatever, I'm just saying, like, I know this is a long explanation, but it's just like there is something about that you only experience after you've been alive for a certain number of years. Because, yeah, products come and go, times change, diets change. Nobody's eating these sugary, because I mean, there are better tasting candies out there now. So, of course, nobody's buying those old school, nobody's buying like licorice schnapps as much as they were in like 1940 or, like
Yeah.
hard candy peppermints were like the only thing that like my grandmother's generation could get, like penny candies from like the drugstore. But those all suck compared to like Hershey Kisses and the shit we have now, like on gross, Reese's peanut butter cups are way better than like the peppermint hard candies from like 1930 or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
so there's just that angle to it. It's just a natural progression. But I was just impressed with how they had Jay kind of have this kind of moment where he's just like, yeah, things move on and things change. And they've always done a good job of having Jay, and Ed O'Neill plays it great, doing that in a way that isn't off-putting, in a way that makes him more endearing and lovable, and not like, oh, you evil white man who's just longing for the days of segregation because you were a kid and you love this candy bar when you were like 10 years old. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, the Don Draper scene in Mad Men with the Hershey bar,
True.
where he
Yeah.
gives that fictional story, but it feels real because everybody felt that. The Hershey bar, the package looks like what's inside. You see it on the shelf and you know exactly what's in that candy bar and you want it. And kind of, yeah, like even just candy bars in general. Like that was a baby boomer. Like, I guess a little bit before that, uh, paydays, I think, or Great Depression era candy bar. Uh,
Yeah.
um, that I'm sure they've changed the formula since and stuff, but like that was like one of the first kind of big candy bars. My dad even, would always do this shit. We'd go to like those old timey stores. Even Cracker Barrel used to sell like old school candy in like the gift shop and stuff.
Mhm.
And my dad was really into like Laffy Taffy and like Charleston Chews because those were
Yeah.
huge candies when he was a kid growing up. And he likes to put them in the freezer and he likes to smack them and break them before he opens the package and like have the frozen taffy or the frozen Charleston Chew. Uh, Even Charleston Chews, dude, sometimes hard to find. Like that's not one they
Yeah.
carry at every 7-Eleven or something, like
Yeah. No, those aren't as common, but yeah, you can still find them.
yeah, at least those are still in production by like Mars or whoever owns them now. But like it just there was something about that episode where I was just like, damn, I'm glad they finally did an episode on Halloween about like Jay like wanting this candy bar from his childhood and stuff.
Hmm.
And they did it well. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, that was like kind of like the highlight of this episode. That there was. So I guess Luke and is it Janice? Is that who he's dating?
Yeah,
I think
another
her
like
name is
40-year-old
Janice.
divorcee.
Yeah, they're at dinner at the same restaurant that Alex and Bill, her firefighter boyfriend, they're at dinner. And like I guess Bill finds out that Alex accidentally texted him uh or texted naked pictures of her to some guy he works with called Creepy Craig.
Yes.
And he's so disgusted by the fact that Alex would think he would even request nudes from her that he breaks up with her, which just isn't like it's not very believable, but I
Right.
guess they need to get rid of Bill, so they just do that. And then Luke with Janice, Luke is describing how much fun it was on Halloween, how he used to play pranks on his old neighbor, and he talks about like filling up her gas tank with sugar and destroying the gnome collection, blowing up the gnomes on their front yard. And yeah, it turns out that like that was Janice that he was playing those pranks on and it like ruined her marriage.
Yeah.
So she breaks up with him.
She like
Uh,
takes the bottle of wine from the table and leaves. Like, yeah,
yeah.
very that I wrote the same note about the Alex sending nudes
Mhm.
because one, it is a part of the culture now. And it has been pretty much since I was a kid, since cell phones were introduced with cameras on them.
Mhm.
When the camera phone come out early 2000s, you know. And that listeners that don't remember that, well, it was literally just a flip phone with a little camera on it. Like, and the quality was terrible. But like, guess what? Young people especially use them to send nudes, and sexting became a thing because of those cameras and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so again, very common thing for young people to do still, sending nudes. But then she was sending nudes to a number she thought was her boyfriend, but it wasn't. And then yeah, the plot is that he's all offended because he's some saint who would never dare ask a woman to send pictures of her huge, massive knockers that like made him attracted to her in the first place, to have a little fun while he's away for a few weeks, and they can only sext because he's away for a few weeks. That's the only way they can do it.
Mhm.
Um, and this has been kind of a classic sitcom trope too. Like I think I remember watching like Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place or something.
Oh, that Ryan Reynolds
Yeah, wasn't
one?
that like
Yeah.
that was like a short-lived sitcom, but it was heavily advertised when I was a kid watching TV all the time, and I would see like clips, and I think there was some bit in that about like I don't know, she was talking to a boyfriend on the phone because this was pre-cell phones being ubiquitous and like cordless, walk phone, people called them, right? Like, and like her roommate comes in and he puts like this bag of soccer balls like on there and he didn't see her on the couch and she's like, "Oh, Carlos, can you get your balls off of me?" Like, that she's like saying things like that and like her boyfriend thinks that like she's like fucking these other guys, but it's like, an innuendo about something that's completely harmless. It's
Yeah.
always kind of a classic kind of sitcom thing. But yeah, yeah, pretty unbelievable for that. But Alex sending nudes.
Yeah. Uh, Also, there was the plot where Phil has been planning all year. Like, but we find out at the end that he's been planning all year this to scare Claire. So he's been like setting up this whole like um, old lady that lives in this uh, type plot and makes Claire go in there
The psycho
and
plot
this
line,
like
but like for real,
psycho,
yeah.
yeah, psycho parody. Yeah, just all the stuff he had to do to like make that gag work throughout the year. They show flashes uh, to it. It's just really great. It's exactly something that Phil would do.
And also we have the drag queen contest that Gloria
Yes,
wins.
yeah, but she doesn't know it's a drag queen contest.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's funny, but also like this is when that obsession with drag queens, and I get it, RuPaul's Drag Race was ubiquitous in the culture at this time, still is. It had had all those spin-offs happen. I remember being in grad school in like 2015, people would watch it. It was kind of one of those reality shows you could just watch, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. So drag queen stuff was becoming mainstream in the culture, but I was just thinking to myself, I was like, oof, I know it's a joke, but also like, I don't know if that joke works with Sofia Vergara, dude.
No,
Nobody like,
she doesn't
yeah,
look like a villain at
she
all.
would definitely mog all the other drag queens in the contest, of course, but like everybody would know immediately this is not a drag queen. This woman is a
Yeah.
10, a real woman. Uh, but yeah, a little funny nod to the woke stuff that was kind of, again, just seeping into the culture here.
Mhm.
Uh, Episode 6, A Game of Chicken. I think I have zero notes on this one.
Let's see. Well, okay. A great part in this one was the dolphin mascot that keeps mocking Cam at the football
Yes,
games.
yeah,
That was good. And Gloria's trying to secretly baptize Haley's babies
yes.
because she thinks like they're possessed or something.
She thinks Pippi is possessed or something.
Yeah, and that's great. At the very end, Dylan comes in, and Dylan and Haley come in. They're like, "Why would you baptize our babies?" And Dylan's like, "Because Poppy's clearly possessed, and you're the only one that doesn't see it."
Yeah.
It's like kind of confirms it. Let's see. Oh, Luke pitches his investment idea to Phil, and it's actually like some smart
Like a
idea
good
that
idea, yeah.
yeah, like collecting all your insurance information on I don't know on one app or something, so you don't have to keep filling out forms when you go to the doctor all the time. Um, and yeah, Claire supports it, and Phil doesn't because he's kind of like jealous that Luke did this without him.
And then it's
Uh,
like actually a good idea, not like their stupid ideas that they've been doing for 10 years that don't have any value, shower snacks and like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they show off one of the inventions in the beginning of the episode, uh, where it's like some sort of device to keep your hands warm while you're making pancakes or
Yeah,
something.
it's like a
And
hands-free pancake dispenser. You like a little like hose on your wrist that like pumps the batter so you can keep your hands free.
yeah, it feels like you know how when you make pancakes, your hands are always cold. It's like, okay, that no, maybe that's just you. I don't know. Um, that's kind of it. Oh, Claire does at the end, she does quit. She leaves the closet company
Right.
because now it's run by like Ezra, whatever that
The
firm
tech
that bought them.
company, the
Yeah,
tech company takeover of the old school. stuff. Yeah. Which was happening all over California at the time. So it makes sense that it made its way into, especially California, where those tech conglomerates with billions of dollars were just throwing it around, being like, oh, we need more infrastructure. We're just going to buy out this small one and like it's ours now, like very common thing that happens. But yeah, that's great. Oh, that's right. Because there was that whole scandal they write in where the smart closet was like filming people with their clothes off unknown to them, and then they
Yes.
had a data breach and like all of people's nudes were
Yeah,
leaked, and
got leaked.
that's what led her to kind of leave the company in disgrace.
Well, I think she was just like, but like they kept calling her, and she was just didn't have any time for anything else, and she felt like she was like a nanny to everyone there, and then she just didn't want to do that anymore. Um, and that's why she just suddenly quit at the end of this episode. Just kind of done with it, looked for something different. She was already getting job offers from other places, so and yeah, that's all I have for that episode.
Yeah, I forgot about the mascot thing. Yeah, that is great. In episode 7, again, the last Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
We have the last Thanksgiving episode. And of course, it's a modern Thanksgiving, so everybody actually hates Thanksgiving, of course. And it's just doing it out of obligation because that's how everybody feels about it now. Um, and then we get kind of the repeat of that plane scene from like season 2, I think it was, season 1 or 2, where
Season one,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jay hits Phil with the model plane, and then like they're trying to do it to like Dylan or something like uh
Yeah, but
he's
it's like successful. Like Dylan actually like doesn't hit him, and yeah, Phil was kind of angry at Jay for maybe purposefully hitting him. Uh, but I think
and
yeah,
then it's
Phil
something
accidentally
about
hits himself with the plane.
yeah, and then there's some subtle thing about how dads and of course men in general are angry and aggressive, of course.
Mhm.
Like Phil, the most like they show Phil being like the father not being okay with whatever man the daughter chooses kind of thing. And I imagine that, it's a very common thing that most men with daughters especially feel. But then there's like Phil puts like the hot tea bag on Dylan's hand or whatever because like he ate the last pancake or whatever.
Yeah,
uh just little things like that. Yeah.
and also yeah, Manny keeps moping, not wanting to talk about whatever girl problem he has. And Alex has to call her the chef that she just broke up with, um, that she dated. And her complaint was that like he keeps puppeting her, so it's like he keeps putting his arms around her, like showing her how to like cut vegetables or something like that. And it's the running gag that once he's invited over to like help salvage their Thanksgiving dinner, he's like doing that to Luke, and Luke kind of likes it. Um,
Yeah, that is a good bit.
yeah.
He's like, if you're finished with Alex, I'm having trouble slivering these almonds. And he like gets behind him and starts helping him. Like when you help somebody with their golf swing or whatever, or their
Yeah.
baseball swing, something like that. Uh, but yeah, of course we have to have the repeated plot line. I was like, okay, that's kind of what makes this not as fun, or not as funny, is because we've already seen the joke. We've already seen that plot line play out. Uh, but whatever, this is 11 years. They're running out of things here. So there's that.
And Cam and Mitch's friends think they broke up because like Mitch mentioned to one of their friends, like, oh, like we split up and we're gonna be looking around separately or something like that.
Yeah.
And the friends take it the wrong way, and they all text Cam like condolences and we're so sorry, but no one texts Mitch, and that pisses him off.
It's like Ronaldo too, right? Like Ronaldo is the one they like run into at the store and like say, "Oh yeah, well we split up so that we could cover more ground or whatever," like kind of something like that. And Ronaldo thinks they broke up. He like texts.
Yeah, it was either there's him and there's Longinus. We get a lot of both of them in this
Right.
season.
Making up for the fact that like Nathan Lane was busy or something and couldn't come for like a day of shooting or something like that.
Yeah, he's probably doing Broadway
Right,
or
he was in
something.
New
Yeah.
York or something, and I couldn't get him in, so they just refer to him constantly. Would have been great to see Pepper come do like Elizabeth Banks does at the very end,
Mhm.
comes back to reprise the role and is like, 30 seconds in the whole show, the whole season. Would have been awesome if, yeah, if Nathan Lane came back for something like that, just a quick
Yeah.
little, but okay, it's 30 seconds in the show. It probably took 6 hours to film or whatever.
Mhm.
So like, if he wasn't available, whatever. But yeah, the last Thanksgiving. Though, again, the one thing I always praise the show for is that by the end of that episode, they do kind of have that kind of pro-family message, despite, yeah, everybody being obligated to hate Thanksgiving and family gatherings in the modern world, and dads being angry and aggressive, which is a big no-no. Don't you? It scares the hoes if you're too angry and aggressive,
Yeah.
scaring them hoes. Dude, that's something dude, it's all over the culture right now too, dude. Like it's all, I mean, we've talked about it before, but just like, I mean, I was watching the 90-day um single life tell all, and
Mhm.
they were all jumping over that fake doctor's throat because of like his Tanya or whatever, that Anya, that like insane 40-year-old woman that like
Yeah.
yeah, just like runs through men. Uh was like, she's like, you get so angry. I'm like, yeah, of course he's not allowed to get angry at anything you do, right? Like, because it makes you afraid if he's upset, like, and therefore
Mhm.
that's like some terrible offense in the relationship because he gets angry about something. So like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course men aren't allowed to get angry. They're not allowed to be aggressive in any way, shape, or form, because women get a little uncomfortable if like a man stands up and shouts something because he's angry in the middle of like a fight about something he cares about.
I
And
think
it's going to
that's
be
just
used
all.
against you in the court of law. Yeah, it will be used against you.
I mean, in her mind, I think she was thinking just something like, I'm really putting up like fat, ugly, like schlubby dude. Like, so he better not be angry at anything I say because, like,
Right. Of
how dare he? Um,
course.
yeah, and she just doesn't want to admit that she can do way better than yeah, the fat Indian dude.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, episode 8, Three Trees a Crowd.
Julie Bowen directed this episode.
Okay. Is that why we have a Marianne Williamson reference?
Maybe.
In 2019, like 4 years after she ran for president.
Yeah.
Uh, God, dude, it just speaks to how pivotal that cultural moment was, the 2016 election. Oh my God. Yeah, like it is kind of insane to think about that, if Clinton won that election, would any of this cultural shift have had, and probably not, right? Like it is insane that that is such a cultural touchstone, and people still don't want to admit that it was a huge cultural touchstone that has now shifted everything moving after it for the last decade.
Oh yeah, I mean, Marianne Williamson still may be like the butt of the joke because she was like, very woo woo and ran this like kind of odd campaign. But it was like if Trump didn't win, it would you would still have like there would be MAGA would be the butt of the joke, whereas you'd have some hardcore MAGA guy who's still like all in on Trump years after he lost, and that would just everyone would just be laughing at it. Yeah, much like the Marianne Williamson thing.
Yeah, and it was Dee Dee's second husband who brings it up, who's supposed to be like some vegan hippie
Mhm.
type person that, yeah, would love Marianne Williamson as a candidate.
And they
So it's a
matched
joke in
him.
that way, but I just thought it was funny because I was like, wait, this aired in like 2019, towards the end of 2019, and we're doing
Yeah.
a reference back to a political election, a presidential election from 4 years previous.
Mhm.
Again, just an example of how much politics and all of this has infiltrated all of our culture and like made people obsessed with it and stuff. Still talking about the 2016 election like 5 years later, 4 years later.
Mhm.
Funny. And again, it's just a little passing line, but you have to know about the 2016 election to even get the joke. You have to know how it happened, why it was funny, why Marianne Williamson lost, all her campaign shit.
Mhm.
You have to be really well versed in what was happening during that to even remember the reference to somebody that ran for president and got like less than 1% of the vote like 4 or 5 years ago. And now at this point, 10 years ago, so nobody's going to remember her name.
Yeah, but they do a good job. I think Dunphy's try to set up Jerry, Dee Dee's ex-wife, with Dylan's mom, Farah, because they're both hippie woo-woo people. Um, and yeah, they end up talking to, like, again, they bring it back like last season. Maybe it was the last season or the previous one. Dee Dee died, and they buried her ashes in a like the soil of a tree, and they
Yeah.
had it planted in their backyard. So yeah, they have them. Jerry and Farah are doing this whole uh, like ceremony, like trying to ask permission from the tree if it's okay if they date or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very, yeah. It have to like chant over it. No, I thought that was good.
Uh,
Um,
And we have the polyamory stuff
um, oh yes, yeah.
with and Phil has a great look to the camera in that at a certain point. Uh polyamory. Yeah, I can't even remember what the reference was into, but
Also, another important part is Luke is, I guess, trying to, or has the mission of trying to get uh, Sherry to go back with Manny, but he ends up kissing Sherry instead.
yeah. And that I don't know who that actress is. I don't know if she's like a producer's daughter or something, but like they milked that plot line for all it's worth, that's for sure. The Sherry and Manny and Luke and
Yeah.
they milked that shit for like 10 episodes.
And oh yeah, Kim and Mitch befriend a lesbian couple, and they're both disappointed that they didn't want their sperm.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't want to be want them to be the donors. Um,
Dude, that is
and, oh,
so crazy, dude. Like, I get why, again, I don't even care that much about it, but I'm just, people are so casual about that shit, dude. Oh, sure, I'll donate sperm to my friend's child so that every time you see their child, you see your own face. And like, like, it's just,
yeah,
people are just so casual about that. Like, it's going to destroy that person, like, especially if they
yeah,
don't have kids of their own or something. Like, it's going to, like, and people have no idea like just how casually they talk. I mean, again, people talk about it because people are just so removed from children and what that does to you. Not just like the biological stuff. People always talk about that. The emotional kind of changes, the chemical create like stuff that releases in your brain, like all of that. Like people are just so casual about it. But oh, sure, I'll donate sperm. Like, and even in that episode, they have Cam and Mitch kind of say yes, they'd be thrilled, but then also once they start thinking about it, like Cam's like, I don't know, like having literally an offspring in the world that like I'm not a part of their life, like, am I okay with that? Like to
yeah.
have a fucking kid that I never see because I legally signed it away for just to have my fucking sperm in a cup, like for this person, like, yeah, it's just there's a whole layer that everybody's just missing. Um, but yeah, it's a different story, but it's funny in the show. It's funny in the show and the lesbian couple just picked some random hot guy that like picked him up in an Uber or whatever instead of Cam and Mitch. And like, yeah.
Yeah. There's also Jay. I do love the scene where Jay brings home this slut like Brandy uh, that he found at the car wash to help
Yeah.
Manny get over Sherry. And it's just there's that great line where Al's like, not Al, Jay. Jay's like, best way to get over some Sherry is to have a little Brandy.
Yeah,
But
that's for sure.
yeah, no, Brandy's hilarious. She's like, he tries to get her to come inside, and she's like, I'm not done with my cigarette yet. I'm almost at the filter. That's the best part. um, yeah, no, she's great. And Jay's just like, oh, what's wrong with Brandy? She's a fun time. Like, yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, that is great. very classic, yeah, Al Bundy. Like I said, you made the Freudian slip, Eric, of
Yeah,
because it says something Al Bundy would do. Yeah, it's an Al
yeah,
Bundy. Uh, like we've been saying this whole time, Al Bundy, the character, the iconic kind of pop cultural thing that he represents, is it matters because of Ed O'Neill and because he's doing basically like an older, more successful version of that character now in this show. Um, I mean, that's why the creators and all that went to him with the script and all of that as well, because he brought that kind of old school, iconic status to it, not just because he was more famous than everybody else on the show originally, but also just because for the character, like that's important, and they're definitely playing off of it. Like, yeah, bringing home like the trashy girl from the car wash that puts out, like yeah,
yeah.
uh,
No, I mean it's crazy that I mean they were saying in that documentary about it, like Ed O'Neill, like just he's like, I'm not if it's a half hour sitcom, I'm
yeah,
not doing a half hour. And so, but he had the meeting anyway, and he told them that, and yeah, they got him just to agree to do it anyway. Yeah, no, that's wild. Yeah, they definitely wanted him. Uh,
yeah. It's always crazy that like that's funny how life works out like that, right? Like, where you're like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and then all of a sudden, like it's the best option for you, and you do it, and it was like a huge success.
yeah.
Well, Ed O'Neill wasn't doing anything for a while there. And maybe because he was turning down half-hour sitcoms, because I'm sure that's what he was getting a lot of offers for.
Yeah.
And maybe he just didn't need to at that point in his career. It was like, nah, I'm done with half-hour sitcoms. But then, yeah, and that farewell, modern farewell thing at the end of the season here, he mentions that specifically, being
Mhm.
like, look, I read the script. He's like, and then I was just thinking to myself, like, it's pretty good. Like, it's a pretty good script. And like all of that, he's like, all right, what else am I doing? Make the deal.
Mhm.
And then Eric Stone Street told that story of how after they filmed the pilot, 6 months went by, nothing, you don't hear anything, especially if you're a no-name actor. And he said randomly in his car, he got a phone call from like an unknown caller. He answered it. He said it was Ed O'Neill. And he was just like, uh, Eric, I saw the pilot. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, it's fantastic. He's like, if this show isn't on the air 10 years, I don't know what the hell I'm doing in this business. And he's like, okay. He's like, that's when I knew because Ed O'Neill told me that this show was going to be a hit and that it was going to be on for 10 years. He's like, so before we even started filming season one, he's like, I knew like that this was just going to be a hit
Mhm.
because Ed O'Neill knew. Yeah, dude, man, nice send off for Ed O'Neill. I mean, if he doesn't do anything else for the rest of his career, like good way to end. Yeah, another kind of TV dad, but also like different than like a little bit different than Al Bundy, a little bit different than Married with Children, tone and all of that.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's played like, if you combine this and Married with Children, 22 years of being like, I mean, just like iconic television shows.
Oof, what an actor, Ed O'Neill. He will be missed. And I guess by the time this show ends, yeah, like, he's well into his 70s, right? Like by the time this
Mhm.
show ends, because he was like in his 60s when it started.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can kind of see him like visibly age towards like the last three seasons or so. He like shows up at a point. It's like, oh yeah, this guy hit 70. Like,
Yeah. It
it
was,
just there's
but
nothing you can do unless you're getting plastic surgery. That like, yeah, once you start hitting that age, like it starts showing. Yeah,
it was funny, like in the documentary, Sofia Vergara was like, you know, oh, it was very easy for me to be attracted to Ed in the beginning because, he was like right in his prime. And like Judah Scott was like, he was already kind of old, but like, yeah, I guess I see what you mean if you compare it to kind of 11 years later. You look
yeah,
back and you forget, oh, his hair wasn't really gray in those couple seasons, right?
yeah. Not as saggy, not as wrinkled, all that kind of stuff. It was like the end of his middle age kind of prime. Yeah, because I mean, shit, when he played Al Bundy, how old was he when he played Bundy, dude? I mean, 30
Uh,
something
30s and
into
probably his early
40s.
40s. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I get people aged, boomers age differently than everybody else, but yeah. Uh, oh, and the other thing about this episode with Trees a Crowd, episode 8, there's Joe has a boy princess party.
Yeah.
It's a little line at the end, and then Gloria's like, "Oh, so you're willing to take Joe to his boy princess party?" And then Jay was just like, no. I draw the line of that. But of course, it's 2019 into 2020. Of course, boy princess parties because gender's a social construct.
Mhm.
None of that matters. Boys love dressing up as princesses. And they're definitely not gay when they're doing that. Yeah, like they're definitely not like going to be gay in 10 years.
Yeah,
Like,
they're definitely definitely a woman, and it can't be gay.
dude, I remember being that little and I had an older sister and stuff, and I would do things like, yeah, put on her dress or something when I was 5 years old, but it wasn't like a fucking themed party. It was like a random thing I did as a kid, and like everybody laughed and took a picture, and then like that was it. But now it's like, oh, we're gonna have a princess themed boy princess party. Boy princesses. Yeah, no thanks. But yeah, that was all I had for that one. Dude, episode 9, the
Uh,
last. No, no,
Can I?
yeah, please.
Yeah, bathroom break.
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
right.
Go for
I'll
it.
be
Yeah.
right back.
The last Christmas. And Christmas was one that they didn't go out of their way to make an episode every season. Some seasons we'd skip it.
Hmm.
But this one they make clear it's Christmas and it's literally called The Last Christmas. Yeah. And once again, everyone hates Christmas because it's like an obligation or something, right? Like everyone's like, oh, Christmas dinner. Um, this one with this is the Luke and Manny hashing it out. I think this is the one where they're talking and Lily's like, "Oh, I didn't think this house could get any gayer." Because they're like talking about like being like pissed at each other for like being after the same girl.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, any male feelings is gay. But also, yeah, Cam getting the job or getting a job interview at for the next level for a college coaching position. Uh, Gloria and Phil with the real estate thing. There's like a conflict between them. Um, uh,
Yeah, she's Alex catches Gloria interviewing for like one of Phil's competitors, who I don't remember them introducing before, but in one of the previous episodes they introduced them as like one of his rivals.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe they did appear, but I think I recognize them. It's like a mother and son, and they like look alike, the blonde hair.
yeah. I don't think
Um,
they appeared until that season for like episode 4 or whatever, when
yeah.
the sign is being stolen
Hmm.
and Phil thinks it's them and like confronts them. Uh, that's funny too when he confronts them and he's like popping those balloons around their sign as like a torture thing or whatever. Like, it's funny. And Ty Burrell's always great. But overall, dude, I mean, what do you think of this Christmas episode? Of course, it's the last Christmas episode. Uh,
Again, it's one of those episodes where it's just, a lot going on. You have all those storylines, like, and they're all in the same room. So real fast dialogue, like really quick moving in and out between storylines. Um, I thought there's Jay has a great line. I think, uh, as he was arriving, Nick or Cam was saying like, "Oh, I hope he's wearing that scarf that I got him." And you can hear like Jay outside coming up to the door. I hate this damn scarf. It makes me look like Angelica Houston. I thought that was just like a great, reference for Jay to use. Uh,
and then he comes in with the
very
scarf. He's like,
random.
"Hey, look at the scarf!" Like right after they heard him say
Yeah.
that, like he's like,
Yeah. He's
"Hey,
like, oh, it
thanks."
makes me feel like a movie star.
Yeah.
It's like, a half truth. Um, uh,
Uh,
yeah, no, there's a Luke is officially dating Sherry, and Manny is angry about that. Um, oh yeah, and we find out that Cam is interviewing for a coaching job in Missouri, which comes back a couple times later in this season, and that we also learn Haley might go to Paris, you know, for the summer. Alex might take a job in the New York office. Manny might go to London. Jay and Gloria talk about going to Palm Springs. So it's sort of like it does set up this like, oh, hey, we all have different lives, and we could be moving on this summer. Like we may
And
not be
it
staying.
and it does capture, I think, something that give the writers credit for. Like you said, it's very fast. I like how they set it up with like Cam doing the seating and that for the dinner and
Hmm.
everybody coming to Cam telling them not to like don't sit me next to this person. And then they go into like that happens over and over again. And like Cam is getting frustrated and like that just great way to have all those characters in a room to tie all of those many plot and storylines going on. I thought it was
Hmm.
well done with the writers doing that. Yeah. But and I think it captures the kind of the modern family, right? People moving away from their home. Like
Hmm.
people always did that to a certain extent, but it is much more widespread and much more common amongst millennials and, nowadays than it was even 20 years ago,
Hmm.
like even in the early 2000s, not many people were moving away from home, across the country to for a job or something. That wasn't normal. It was a small percentage of people, and usually pretty in demand, high paying fields. Usually, that's when you would be moving all over the country. I knew a guy, he was a machinist. So he literally fixed these fucking machines, in fact, like rubber factories all over the fucking country in the world, really.
Hmm.
And, kind of blue collar guy, but he made great money doing it. But like he was on the road all the time because they were sending him to all these different factories all over the country and all over the continent,
Yeah.
to fix these machines or do maintenance on these machines and stuff. And like, he was always, it's just that's a new thing. Yeah, that's just the new everybody, whether it's high paying or not, everybody just moves around constantly, moves from their hometown, uh,
Hmm.
just a greater, bigger, just a more common thing than it used to be. Yeah, and it is kind of a modern family aspect to it. So glad that they tied that in. But yeah, overall, I thought it was kind of a disappointing last Christmas episode. I feel like they could have really, I don't know, just tied it all in like a big bow.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's some great lines in there, but uh, yeah, that they're just kind of setting it up for the end. So,
Yeah. And you can
um,
almost feel the sadness. I don't know if it's just because watching it as a fan and, like watching the characters is like knowing that it's going to be the last season.
well, Claire says something when everyone says where they're going. It turns out like Phil and Claire are the only ones that are staying, and like she
Yeah.
realizes like, well, so that means you know next Christmas it'll only be me and Phil, or what, and you kind of realize, oh yeah, it would like there's no more show if they're all in different places, right?
Right.
Um, but there was one thing that was mentioned is Cam suggests that uh, Mitch has a goes and eats a gingerbread person,
Yes.
and he calls it, and he's like, he takes a bite and he's like, oh, they are really good. Or so, yeah, like using the, again, the pronouns, and they're mocking it, but at the same time, they're holding a light up to like what was becoming like very normal in society.
Yeah. And I think that line is Cam says, he's like, oh, please help yourself to a ginger person. They're gluten and ginger free. Like,
Yeah.
going of like, gluten free. Talk about psyops, dude.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Southern California too. But yeah, overall, I was just like, yeah, Christmas episode. I was, I don't know, maybe more sentimental or something. I thought they could have really ripped with that. But I guess they wanted to show like, yeah, the family changing. Uh,
Yeah. And I thought Claire asks Jay, name two of my friends growing up. And Jay's like, the mean one and the heavy one. I thought that was a great line just because, like, I don't know. My boomer parents never remember my friends' names growing up. It was like, yeah, they'd give me like a description or something. Like meet them, they could met them a ton of times. They still have no idea. Yeah. So I related to that a bit.
yeah. Uh, Episode 10, the Prescott. This is with Alex's new corporate job at this like fancy hotel or residence or something. And they're all trying to use Alex's code to get into the amenities.
I love this episode.
Stephen
This
Merchant
this
is
is
back in the
one of my
same.
favorite episodes of the
Yeah,
season. Yeah. Yeah, he's back, kind of puts it all together just like he did in that episode when they were in, was it Vegas?
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
Vegas.
Vegas
Yeah.
episode. Uh, so yeah, mix up a comedy of errors, this misunderstandings. Uh, yeah, no, this was a great episode. Again, very fast. That Preston Sturges like Palm Beach story type storytelling. Yeah, it's just very quirky, funny, goofy, and yeah. So I guess the funniest part for me was Phil being this like food reviewer
Yeah.
online, foodie in a hoodie, and his rival is some guy named Close to Outlaw, and we find out that the rival is really Jay, who doesn't know that Phil is the reviewer, and Jay's like angry because he's like, it's Closet Outlaw. How hard is that? Like, it is hilarious that Phil like reads that and is like, close to Outlaw. Hmm.
The Trolls. Dude, we also have guest starring David Beckham and Courtney Cox.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Kind of a random pairing, but they aren't given much to do besides just be there.
They're the decoys that like yeah for Luke and Manny because they think they're meeting up with like a couple of older women they met at like the exercise class. Um, and again, a misunderstanding occurs, and then uh, Stephen Merchant's character, kind of steers them their way. Um,
Stephen Merchant's so good at that too.
yeah, and yeah, and Cam wants to stay at the hotel so he can meet David Beckham and have David Beckham leave his outgoing message on his phone. And there's the great bit with Snoop Dogg leaving the message, and it's like um, uh, that was funny. And yeah, Mitch wants to stay because he wants to meet Victoria Beckham because it's his idol.
Posh
First time we're
Spice.
hearing this in the in the series, but okay.
Uh, yeah, the Phil and the Jay in the lobby bit was hilarious to me in this one with Jay getting lost and keeps wandering back into the lobby
Mhm.
and he keeps coming back and then eventually he's like, "How many lobbies does this place have?" He just like keeps coming back to the lobby. Uh,
Yeah, Jay wants to use their screening room because he got a copy of Lawrence of Arabia. Uh, and again, great, another Jay and Candy thing. He's gets shown into the screening room and he's like, here's like, all your candy choices. And they don't have sugar babies that he says is the greatest movie theater candy ever. And so Stephen Merchant has to go and track it down.
Another one of those old candies you don't see as much. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, I just love Stephen Merchant's line. He's like, "Oh, you mean do I enjoy tracking down something I've never heard of for a person I've only just met? Yes, it would be my pleasure."
yeah. And then when he tells him how he found him, he's like, "No problem, sir. There was a Mexican birthday party in the park across the street, and when the piñata came, I waited for my time and then blended in seamlessly with the children." Like, and he like,
I just love how yeah, a Mexican birthday party because it's a bit yeah, that's a Mexican candy. That's like yeah, those are things you'd find at like dollar stores. Yeah.
yeah. Another one that's like disappearing from like, yeah, even movie theater stuff.
Yeah.
That candy that you would get at movie theaters. Isn't that something that like Tarantino pushes at his like theater in LA? What's the name of it again?
Arc no.
No, it's another one of the old ones like the ArcLight, but he bought it and revived it. I forget the name of it, but it's some big movie theater that's always been famous in LA, but he's like kept it alive for like the last 10 years, 15 years. He's like big on stocking like the old school candy. Like he's like big on like the traditional like 70s movie theater candy. He like finds it and like stocks it like at that place. What is the name of that? Whatever. Listeners know what it is. You know what we're talking about. Yeah. Who cares what the name is of a movie theater I've never been to in LA? Uh, but yeah, David Beckham, Courtney Cox, I was kind of like, okay, they don't really know what to do with them, but it's funny still with like Courtney Cox was the one that was really random. Did she have something she was promoting at the time? Like I don't make sense.
I I mean, not that I know of.
Yeah, especially paired with like David Beckham, like considering how internationally famous he is, and then like Courtney Cox, like again, very famous, Friends, Scream, all that shit, but like not as famous as David Beckham. Like, not as
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe it was some part of a contract that they had to
maybe. Or I
do
was thinking,
guest
didn't she
appearances
have
on
some like
something.
big show like drama that was coming out around this time where she played like some corporate boss lady it failed. I think it got taken off the air pretty quick, but it was like I don't know. She was promoting something like that at that time.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't really watching like a lot of new TV shows.
Dude,
Like
nobody
really at
was.
this time
Yeah,
around,
nobody
I
was,
was
dude.
really watching me out pretty much Modern Family.
Yeah.
Um, I do think the gag at the end where all of Claire's hair dye comes out in the water and she doesn't notice it, and she keeps thinking she has like the brown hair in, and uh, yeah, that was good. I mean, just a lot of stuff that happens. It takes like too long to like really go into the full plot because the mix-ups are so like complicated.
But it's very much like you said, the Palm Springs, the Vegas, the kind of they've done episodes like this before. So it's like, yeah, like comedy of errors, classic misunderstandings, but it's also like really fast and moves like as you're going through this kind of, and of course the hotel or a big residence building like that is a great place for it because yeah, there's so many different things and like so many different ways you can go about it. Uh, classic. Did we miss anything for that one? You said that one was your,
uh, n no, that's it.
yeah. Episode 11, Legacy. And I didn't have too many notes for this one either, but I did write down that the Jay teaching Joe sales was a pretty good bit, was a pretty good gag.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, no, yeah, Jay was like, I guess he got rid of like all his dog beds. He was kind of folding the dog bed business, and he donated them. And he finds I guess it's a garage sale or what is it? Or is it like a pet adoption place
yeah.
that's using them? And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, no, my cats love these." And it shows a cat sitting in the pineapple bed, and Jay's like, "A cat in a pineapple? That doesn't even make sense." Like he took his dog beds very seriously. Like a dog and a pineapple totally makes sense. Um, and then, oh yeah, we do get so Fred Willard's back as Phil's dad, and he goes and uh, visits him out in Florida, right? Yes. Um, and it turns out, they have a good time, a nice time together. And that's the last time that Phil sees his father because they reveal in the end that he died. So it kind of that closes that, storyline. Again, last season. So yeah, they kind of want to have some closure to a lot of the characters they've
And
uh,
Phil gets,
shown us.
is that when he gets the RV? Or no, the RV comes in a couple episodes later. I guess he gets the
Yeah.
RV in that episode, but it comes into the story a little bit later.
Mhm.
Uh,
And also, we were mentioning earlier about Lily sort of being the butt of the joke sometimes. Like when Jay's teaching Joe how to negotiate, he says to him, "Remember, show no emotion. Think of your cousin Lily." Yeah,
There's
which
another
is
great
great
part
because
at that Spud's restaurant later in the season where he does something similar. He's like, it was me sitting at a restaurant with a Vietnamese beauty, just like her. Like, he's doing like Vietnam flashbacks, using Lily as a proxy for it. Like,
but yeah, that's kind of all I have for this.
I didn't have much either for that one. I was just kind of like, that Jay and Joe thing. Yeah. Jay. Um, and then episode 12 was Dead on Arrival, where we have Josh Gad coming back. And I mean, at this point, Josh Gad is like rich as hell, like fucking Olaf in the Frozen shit, like Disney just getting that Disney money,
Yeah.
uh, playing Gaston and Beauty and the Beast, or no, playing LeFou.
Yeah, this is the episode also where, oh, well, Josh Gad, yeah, so he returns and he's being filmed by a camera crew for a documentary where he goes back and he visits people who influenced him, and his person is Phil, and he wants to take Phil into space, International Space Station. And Phil has to act excited, but really he's terrified.
Yeah, he's terrified of going, and that's great too. And the way Ty Burrell plays it,
Hmm.
uh, is great. Yeah, this is another one where they bring Josh Gad. I'm not sure why him of all the guest stars they decided like I could have cared less if he never came back, you know? But
Probably
then
because people knew him.
that's true. He gotten way more famous since his first appearance and like
And he had shows that he was, I think, doing at the same time. I think that even may have been on ABC. There was that one where he was like the president's son.
oh
I forget
yeah.
what it was called. And then he did another one on FX, which I think is like owned by the same eight people that owned ABC. It was
Yeah,
like
Disney.
comedians with Billy Crystal. So he had a
Oh.
couple of projects that, that the studios could kind of have a crossover to in a way of promoting.
And they're also kind of poking fun at like this was the time when like Jeff Bezos and everybody was like we're going into space. Like all these like rich tech people were like finding founding space companies like space exploration.
Yeah.
So they're making fun of that. And really the thing I wrote down about this episode, Haley has this line towards the end when they discover that Phil's terrified, doesn't actually want to go to space, and we find out that the Josh Gad character is actually terrified of it too, but just wanted to Elon and Bezos to think he's cool, you
Mhm.
know, because they're doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like a fellow tech billionaire or something. And he like wanted them to think he's cool.
Mhm.
And then Haley says, "Look, launching white men into space hasn't been cool for years." Which is a funny line, but it's also true, right? Because it's also like nobody giving a shit about launching people into space. But again, the
Yeah.
woke part is the white men into space, right?
Mhm.
Really, launching anybody into space hasn't been cool for years because it's just like tech nerds that are doing it now. Whereas in like
Yeah.
previously, it was like some feat of engineering that everybody was in awe with, but now it's just so normalized, nobody cares anymore. Um, But yeah, I was just like, oh, there it is. There's that little bit of the culture, that culture. It's fully ingrained. We're just like, oh, it's just one-liners now.
Yeah. No, and
Uh,
we do the Cam and I did like the Cam and Mitch story because it brings two old actors um, into the picture. Paul Dooley, who he's been in a lot of movies, but my favorite role of his, he was the father in the film Breaking Away. If you ever saw that, it's like
no,
1979 film about like a guy who wants to be a professional bike rider. It's um, and Ed Asner. And they're two old men that Cam and Mitch try to reconnect, but it turns out like one's mad at the other because like when they were in high school, like one of them told the coach that he was a communist and got him kicked off the football team,
yeah,
and the other guy's mad because he said, I only did that because you stole my paper route. I had to deliver ice, as a summer job, and it was just like Cam and Mitch are like, wait, how old are you
yeah,
guys?
delivery nice. But it was my, I mean, I guess that was my grandfather's generation. Yeah. And if he were around in 2020, he would have been like almost 90. Yeah, like at that time. So
Hmm.
like would have been like 95 now. So, that's he delivered he was a newsboy, like a newsie, basically, like in the Great
Oh,
Depression, yeah.
yeah.
Baltimore City. So like shit jobs like that, like it was only like what that would be three generations ago in my family that you would deliver ice or papers or yeah, be a newsboy or something or like sell peanuts at the baseball. I mean, I don't know,
Mhm.
stupid little kids, but yeah, how old are you is a great bit when they do that. And yeah, I forgot about that where the old guy shows up at their house and is like, I used to live here. This is where I'm dying, and just like sits down on their couch to like die.
Yeah.
And then they like intervene in the because it's mentioned that Senior what's his face at Cam's school has screwed him over or something again, one of his rivals, the Will
Yes.
Sasso, who
Yeah.
doesn't show up, but we get a mention.
Mhm.
And then like at the end of the episode, Cam's like, see, you need a rival. It gives you a reason to live, like to have a rival, like to as the old guys. Because I'm gonna make his life miserable.
Yeah, he gives advice to Mitch about how to get back at the coworker that's been eating his peanut butter, and he's like, "Stick laxatives in the peanut butter." And yeah, Mitch ends up like writing down his ideas, like to get back at him. Um,
And that's what like yeah, look, they Josh Gad's like, oh right, instead of going into space, we'll do some Save the Wolves conservatory thing. And she's like, Phil Dunphy Conservatory for Preservation of Wolves. And then he leaves, and then Phil's just like, I'm terrified of wolves. And he's like, like, it's just so great. Uh, but yeah, dude, all those foundations that billionaires start, fucking vanity projects.
yeah.
Um, episode 13, I feel like is important.
Hmm.
Paris. And again, it's the last travel episode here where we get the whole crew. Uh,
Well, except I don't is wait, Haley and Dylan aren't in it, right?
yeah, I don't think
And
so.
Luke is missing.
And I think Lily at this point, I noticed in that episode 13 that Lily had just hasn't been in episode 12 or 13 at all. And then she
Hmm.
comes in and matters in episode 14 with the
Yeah.
first date or her date or whatever, but like just isn't in there. Uh and again, we've been pointing this out as we've gone through listeners that yeah, it's probably because that actor's not great and
Mhm.
you know, they probably the writers are probably not even thinking about her because of that. Like because she's
Yeah.
so like think of how many takes they had to do before they like print one of her you know, and like it's still that bad. She was
Yeah.
probably pretty bad to work with. So I bet the writers just like how are we supposed to work with that? Just an afterthought as they were writing.
I mean, even in the documentary, they like, I think there was like one clip of her saying something about the show, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, but this is the Valentine's Day episode too. So this is technically like the last Valentine's Day episode.
Mhm.
Um, and of
Like,
course we have Fizbo.
yeah.
Fizbo is back and still unfunny.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. In the documentary, they were talking about how uh, Eric Stone Street, this is his favorite thing to do,
yeah,
is
he
film
loves the
Frisbee.
filming
He
Fizbo.
loves it. So I guess he probably is the reason why it was like kept in because he likes it so much. Uh,
And
yeah.
every time it was just less and less funny too. Like every single time
Yeah, it's
Fizbo's
pretty
come
bad.
back over 11 years.
Yeah, the Fizbo thing. He sees another Fizbo when he's in France as a street performer. And yeah, he just remembers that, oh, yeah, when I was a kid, I got a book um, about clowns of Europe. And there was like a Fizbo, Beau, and that's where he got his idea and look and the
Yeah.
name from. So finds out he's not an original. And the best part of this was uh, Claire's old crush.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, she had planned to meet up with some guy 30 years at a Paris cafe, and that just happened to be now. And Phil was waiting with him, and they both meet Claire. But I guess Phil and this guy find out that they have a similar interest in magic, and that just kind of gives yeah Claire that's a turn off. So she just wants to leave them both immediately to themselves, and they become like the best of friends. I think that's great. That was great, like twist there.
Uh I loved that they teased Clive Bigsby back.
Yeah.
his French counterpart, Claude Bigsby. Yeah, because dude, I just love when Ty Burrell does that. Like it's just so great. They killed it way too soon. They should have had him bring it back every single season and gotten kind of more outrageous each one.
Yeah.
I guess that last one was pretty hard to top with the being in the old lady's like wrong hotel room or whatever, and
Yes.
that was hard to top. But still, that's I always love when that comes back. Yeah, the 30-year plot love story about like Claire being a slut, like when she was in college, and like Phil does that great little speech. He's like, "My wife did things before we were together," or whatever. Like it's so funny because he's like saying it as like an angry thing, but it's like coming off terribly. I forget most of Jay's plot line in this, but oh right, he's supposed to get an award
Yeah.
but it's actually for his rival who died last season, and
He's accepting it for him.
yeah. And
But
there's the
Manny, like, even though he's supposed to speak French,
sucks
like
at
kind
it.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, misheard it. Um, and so, yeah, that's why they're in that situation. And I love how they do sort of reference, because Gloria makes that snide comment, like, oh, go practice that French that you learned instead of learning Spanish,
Yeah, she's
because there
like,
was that big episode where he was deciding on whether to take French or Spanish, and Gloria was pushing Spanish, and yeah, he took French instead, and that was always like kind of resentful.
I think the line is, Manny, go check us into the hotel since you decided to disgrace our family and learn French and not Spanish. Like,
Yeah,
which is a very Latin mother thing to say, but also, yeah, funny. I forgot about that too. Again, that cultural stuff, right?
yeah,
Oh, my children,
um,
they don't speak my language because they grew up in this American culture, blah, blah, blah.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
um, no, oh, they do mention, and this was, I swear, this is almost like a Mandela effect for me. Uh, they mention the Notre Dame Cathedral, the
Same. I had the
fire.
exact same note, dude.
It
What did you?
wasn't that later? I swear
No,
that fire
no.
was later.
I think
I
it.
swear that's
I know
so
it happened
crazy.
towards like the end of Trump's first term because Trump was still in office when it happened, and everyone was making fun of him saying how they should put the fire out. I remember that being like a week-long news cycle.
So the last, all right, let me find out when this exact date it aired. Um, February 12th, 2020.
Okay. When did the Notre Dame fire happen?
Because I swear I
Or
was
Notre
living
Dame.
here.
Sorry, we're American. We say Notre Dame, but Notre
Yeah.
Dame, uh, that magnificent Gothic church.
Okay, it happened April 15th, 2019,
Okay, so almost a year before, yeah.
which is just crazy because I swear I was watching it on TV burning like here in Vegas. And I did not move to Vegas until late 2019.
Hmm.
I was still in California at this time. I just remember it happening later than that. That's yeah,
It did
that's
burn for like
crazy.
I mean, it burned for a while. Like they were, but yeah, I noticed the same thing where like, yeah, they worked that in a cultural reference to the current
Mhm.
event. And Jay is lamenting, she's a shell of her former self, like, yeah. And maybe it's symbolic also of the burning of that magnificent church. Um, and I know it wasn't like vandalism or anything. It was like an accident as they were doing restorations, but like, at least that's what they say. But it is maybe it is symbolic of something that it happened on the eve of 2020 on the burning down of Western civilization in a way. Like this is
Yeah.
kind of, and then you have Jay like sitting there. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, just man, that was huge. Yeah, dude, all these references that we've already forgotten about just to show you how the culture has moved so fast, dude. I mean, an event like that, well, granted, nobody's forgotten about it, but I mean, nobody talks about it anymore, but it's just like, an event like that will be written down in history forever because, this Notre Dame caught on fire or Notre Dame caught on fire. So it's, I'm pretty sure all the fires that ever happened in that place have been documented throughout its existence. So yeah, it'll be down in the history books, but like we've already forgotten it. We've already been like, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, when did it happen? Oh, sometime or like it just already it's only been a couple years. Like that
Yeah,
never used to happen in the culture. Like we've become such a forgetful culture in a way. Like we're so forgetful of things that have happened even recently if they're not being shoved in our face on a timeline every
yeah. I mean, I
day.
remember it like re they reopened it like what last year or something like
Yeah,
that.
because they said it would take a few years to rebuild that. Yeah, I mean, you have to
Yeah,
rebuild that whole facade. I mean, that the whole ceiling, like on that side, the iconic spires and stuff were on fire. Like, so you had to rebuild all
yeah.
those things. Like,
So I mean, I just yeah, like so I remember it because yeah, when they reopened it, but yeah, I'd forgotten about it
and
for a
just
couple
things like
years.
that. Like, I remember when that happened, dude, there was a huge thing in the news, like storylines about, like, yeah, like salvaging the artwork.
Mhm.
Like, they had teams running in trying to salvage that. Like, it just so many artifacts, the marble that just can't be made anymore, that's gone. Like, it just, yeah, things like that
Mhm.
that are like we used to get much more upset about as a culture, but like we just aren't anymore, forgetful culture, stupid culture,
Mhm.
disposable culture. Um, yeah, yeah, that was crazy. Episode 14, Spuds. This one might have been one of my favorites of the season
Mhm.
as well, even though we do get like it's like the big flashback episode where like the really sentimental stuff starts happening. Uh,
Yeah.
Jay's back pain is a great gag during that little show. It's hilarious. When he like breaks
Mhm.
down and he gets on his knees, like, save the flag, boys. And they all come over and do like the Iwo Jima, like, or whatever. Uh, and even the flashbacks, like I said, I was kind of like, cheap, at first, cheap writing. But then
Mhm.
as a fan and watching it as it kept happening, I was like, oh, it does make you sentimental. So it does hit the way where they were trying to get it to hit with that. Because of the like beginning of the end type thing. Everybody's being sentimental, and yeah, as a fan, it did hit for me. Um, you know, that's good. I think when a show takes it seriously like that, like, yeah, you did watch this for 10 years and you saw these characters change, even though it's a fictional story and all of that.
Mhm.
Plus, there were
Uh,
just a bunch of great gags at Spuds the whole time. Like they were doing like the potato restaurant, like
yeah.
potato teeny, uh,
Yeah.
like
And I did like this is where yeah Phil takes his dad's old RV.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so we get some yeah that sort of sets up for again this is sets up for the finale, the final two episodes of what's going to happen with the characters after the finale. And then also Cam and Mitch learn that they may adopt um, a son.
Yeah.
They heard back, again, it's news to, the viewers, right? Um, like they never mentioned this before, so it was kind of a surprise. You know,
And it is
they,
kind of a plot line that had been happening for several, off and on throughout the whole series. If they might adopt a boy, they want a baby boy, they're going to adopt a son. And
Mhm,
it never happens. But yeah, so appropriate that they bring it back here. And yeah, you're not expecting it because you're expecting the phone call for Cam and his coaching job, but instead you get that.
mhm.
And yeah, dude, that the RV with Phil in the RV is great. When at the end when Claire decides to keep it, and she's like, and she's like describing them. She's like, she's a little bit of a control freak, but the husband's wild and has a quirky side. Like, and then Phil's just like, they sound like weirdos, no sale. Like no sale. She's like, I'm talking about us. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, and Jay takes the pills,
yeah, the
the
pain
pain
pills.
pills. Yeah, but takes like the max amount. And but like Lori also puts some in his drink. So he's yeah. Um
Because Lily and like some boy are on like a first date.
Yeah.
And then like he like goes over to their table and he's just like, you remind me a lot of me as a young man sitting across the table from a Vietnamese beauty in a, like, in a restaurant, like, and they like come and get him. They're like, Dad. And then that other great little bit in this one was at the very end after Jay leaves all those emotional voicemails, they show Phil like sipping coffee in the RV, just like listening to it over and over again, like tearing up.
Yeah.
Like Phil. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this was the episode where they were just going full fan service, I feel like. And I feel like they kind of did that for the last ending here and like, whatever. Like, I think it works.
Mhm.
A lot of funny bits in that. I guess that's all I had for that too, for episode 14. Uh,
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Episode 15, Baby Steps. We get the broken step story. We get the Mitch and Cam adopting a baby story.
Mhm.
Um, we get this is the episode with Alex getting protested at her college for working at a multinational cutting edge company. Arvin is
Yeah.
brought back. Yeah, this was a lot happens in this because I guess they're setting up for these final two episodes to really end it. Um, and I guess this is the one where Cam and Mitch decide to buy a new house too.
Yeah. Because because if they're gonna adopt, they wanted a bigger place. And yeah, it turns out, yeah, Cam does the coaching job. Um, Claire's interviewing for an organizing company. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, but really, yeah, it's Alex meeting Arvin again is kind of like the one of the bigger things because that's it kind of you expected them to be together right when
yeah.
Arvin was introduced, and like they switched it up, and he went with Haley, and we never really heard from him again after they broke up, and then yeah, he's back like a more natural match, just like Dylan was for Haley.
And all the college students are protesting Alex and like shaming her. And
Hmm.
then Arvin like is like, well, yeah, I'm gonna shame you too. Like he like it's almost like a parody of what college professors were doing at the time, right? Like publicly, privately going to people and saying, "Oh, I think it's really messed up what you're doing," but then publicly being like, "Yeah, that's a shame. They should be ashamed of themselves." Like
Yeah.
that was what was happening when we lived through the second Red Scare uh,
Mhm.
in those years. Uh, but I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, of course we have to do this. And then at that scene when she's talking to Arvin, he's like, "If true, they were a little harsh." He's like, "I would have said something like, whatever your company name is, a multinational corporation that cares more about profits than ethics." And that's supposed to be like some insult to the company or whatever.
Yeah.
For
It's like,
being
yeah.
again that multinational corporation. Oh, what a villain! Like to be operating in more than one nation
Yeah.
is like some bad sign.
Or a company caring about profits is like a some sort of unique thing that no one's ever heard of before. It's like, well, yeah, to ask the shareholders, I think they want the company to care more about profits.
And of course, Alex is conflicted because she's really conflicted about working at this cutting edge research like that pays her a lot of money. It just feels wrong, and she'd rather be broke working in academia or whatever on research in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's kind of implied that yeah, Alex is going to be with Arvin, and that's their little storybook ending. Doing
Hmm.
like, their nerdy research together. You know, actually, how a lot of academics meet each other is that they were each other's students at some point or whatever, grad students
Yeah,
specifically. Yeah,
usually. Yeah. That's kind of all I have for that episode.
yeah. But I guess they do just kind of set it up with all of those things for this one. At least like how they're going to end it. Because episode 16 is I'm going to miss this.
Mhm.
And Mitch and Cam moving is a goodbye. to the the series and the characters. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, that Mitch doing the Dirty Dancing solo, time of your life, talking to the fireplace and everything, realizing that he's going to have to leave the house. Yeah, it connects to the viewer, I think.
Yeah, I was there for it as a fan, like watching it. Yeah. Uh, I was definitely like, oh, this works. Like it works as like a goodbye to the series and the characters too, as they're
Mhm.
like going through the memories and stuff and the pictures and all of that. And there's some flashbacks sprinkled in as well. Um, yeah, I
I
thought it
know
was really
the lost
appropriate.
python egg is a good gag.
Which one?
The lost python egg.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
This
yeah.
is an Easter episode,
Yeah,
technically.
which is
Yeah,
crazy. Did we ever have an Easter episode previous to this?
I don't think so. Maybe, but not as Easter themed as this is. Like it's got, the egg hunt. Phil dresses up as the bunny rabbit, Easter bunny. So yeah, no, it's a pretty big Easter episode. Um, but yeah, uh, the python egg is great. Just it's lost among all the other normal eggs. It's just like a little bit larger. So Phil is trying to find it. Keeps going around everywhere trying to find the egg. Um,
He's like hopping like a bunny too, which makes it funny.
mhm.
Uh,
Oh, and Jay and Manny do a wine tasting.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like yeah, like at home. Yeah, it's like Joe pick random bottles and they're tasting wine, and Manny is like, I bet I know more about wine than you, and Jay like, which is an absurd thing to say. Like some what is Manny 23, 24, like barely
Yeah.
not too many years under his belt for drinking.
I think even younger than that, like 21, 22 or something. He's supposed to be in that.
Yeah, and yeah, Jay kind of beats him in recognizing what type of wine is what. Again, Jay and Manny bonding because, um, I think, yeah, Manny's leaving to go to London, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
some acting school.
Yeah. And they're like bonding over that kind of wine tasting activity. Again, kind of a touching storyline with Jay, uh, and his like stepson, basically like bonding. And this is also the episode where I guess Phil and Claire are like at the grandparents' table for the Easter
Yeah.
celebration, and they don't like it. And that's where Phil does the line. He's like, I guess I get used to shaving naked at the gym. Uh, because yeah, old people are always fucking naked in the locker rooms, dude. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is about baby boomers. I guess they were just the last generation where that was just a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was very normal to like shower after gym and everything. And
Yeah.
usually everyone was on some sort of a sport, played some sort of a
And
sport.
it was like the old school big open room, like shower room. So just like
Mhm.
prison nozzles in the wall and like that's it. Like,
Yeah.
and you just have like 10 of them against the wall. Everybody's just naked showering.
Yeah.
So crazy how the culture has shifted since then,
Yeah, no, you don't need, no, they don't even have showers and shit. It's not even an option. Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. The old people table, and then they try to get to the young people table, and they don't fit in quite at like either of them.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and then as I was watching these last couple episodes, I was thinking to myself, yeah, man, like we've covered like all the big cultural shifts and how like this show has really embodied them, the marijuana, the polyamory, the wokeness, the college protests, the
The gender,
proliferation of like the race communism or whatever that people are obsessed with now.
mhm. The
Um,
gender stuff.
yeah, gender, uh, and even like the shift in TV writing being more focused on politics with these kind of old references to Hillary Clinton losing the election, and
Mhm.
then Marianne Williamson even running in that election, you know,
Mhm.
things like that. The changing of the family, yeah, the moving away, the kind of millennial perpetual gig economy that like Haley and and Luke are forced to live through. Uh, all of that.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you just didn't really have that with sitcoms other than maybe, I think, All in the Family referenced current political events at the time. But like when Watergate happened, I don't think like any sitcoms were like really, you'd have a reference to it or something, but there wouldn't be shows built around it like Modern Family did with the Woman's March and the
Yeah.
pink pussy hats, right? Like it was all this stuff that was very just like, a moment in time that who knows years later would people even like get the reference.
Yeah. And I was just thinking more about that, yeah, as we approach the final episode, which is the two-part episode that's kind of pushed together. At least
Mhm.
it is on Hulu. I don't know how it aired.
I think they aired it like back to back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they aired on the same date. It was just, back to back, two episodes.
And we have Jay with another like butler like statue.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that was great. That's because it looks just like that dog statue, except this is like some human looking barkeeper. And it's got red hair and he's like a little portly. So he says it's, the portly part is Cam, the red haired part is Mitch. So he calls it Kitch. And like Cam and, all their gay friends think it's just great. And Gloria is still repulsed by it.
yeah. Uh, I also think that we got the first fuck dropped on this episode.
Really?
It's when Cam says that he got the coaching job and they're moving to Missouri basically. And then Mitch is like saying he's all supportive. And then Gloria after that is like, oh, that was so big of you. And he was just like, well, what the fuck was I supposed to say? Like angry, but they blur out the fuck because, it's ABC. They're not going to
Oh,
drop an
yes.
F-bomb.
Okay. Yeah.
But I was like, huh, I don't think this show ever used that tactic. But it was becoming a more popular tactic, especially on sitcoms where you couldn't use those words to broadcast it. Um, so just interesting how that shifted suddenly. It was like, whoa, they
Yeah.
11 years they don't drop a single curse that couldn't be aired on ABC for the jokes, and except for that one.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that was the first time that yeah, fuck was used and like bleeped out. Basically, they even like blur his mouth when he says it. Like,
Yeah. No, that's yeah, no, I mean they've blurred out like nudity,
always a
stuff like
great
that.
gag. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was another one of those this season when Luke is like banging Janice or one of those women, and she's
Mhm.
like naked in the
Oh,
kitchen and she
yes.
like lifts up her shirt and they just blur like yeah her like vagina and all out.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, so I mean this kind of tie everything up. Cam gets the job. Uh, they have their baby that they named Rexford.
Yeah, very millennial. Yeah,
Yeah. I did like the not false goodbyes, but
yeah,
like they kept saying goodbye and then their flight kept getting delayed for some reasons. So they always have to redo their goodbyes. Also, Luke and Haley and Alex recreating the puppy tape
yeah,
that Claire liked a lot. I don't know, that didn't really work for me.
yeah. It was not funny. Yeah,
Uh, oh, and Jay. Okay, so again, so Jay learns Spanish. We find out he's been doing like a Audible type or not Audible.
Babel,
Babel,
yeah,
yeah, type thing, to learn Spanish for Gloria. And I recall in one of the previous seasons, and I think this is actually the same episode where Manny doesn't want to learn Spanish and he wants to take French. Um, Jay realizes that she wanted Manny to take Spanish because she wants someone to talk to in
right,
Spanish. There's no one, she has no one who knows Spanish there. And as a surprise, Jay hired Manny's, former Spanish tutor to tutor him so he can speak the language for her, with her,
right.
as a present. And that was a sweet gesture. And we never really heard about, any of that. So, I mean, maybe he dropped it and then he's picking it up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of revisit that. So, yeah, that's kind of that through line of, um, Gloria always kind of missing her culture a little bit.
Yeah, and they make a funny gag out of it with him and Phil spooning on the
Yeah.
bed. Uh that's good.
And
And
everyone
then
thinks Jay is like going senile because he's
yeah,
just like alone, wandering off, like just staring, but he's just listening to the Spanish instructor.
Elizabeth Banks shows up for her 130 seconds. And it's funny, it's fine, it
Mhm.
works that Sal, like slut friend of their that's like a party girl still when she's like too old to be.
Mhm.
Uh But I don't know. I mean, what did you make the ending? I thought the ending was pretty. I mean, it was fan service for sure, but it was also touching, like the way they have it play out and like the saying goodbyes. And yeah, still going humor for it first with the multiple goodbyes, but making that like still touching each time that they did it, you know. But then like having
Yeah.
the jokes, yeah,
Yeah, no, I liked it. Yeah, I mean, it's great that they kind of set everyone off in their separate ways because then you know that there's no possibility that there even could be a show. Like they kind of wrote their way out of it rather than having it end and they're all still there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because then you're thinking like, can't you just? It kind of angers you. Like, can't you just go another season? You're all right there. What are you guys doing? And then now it's like, okay, well, this is kind of the end of what we knew to be the show. Like, you can't have a show where they're all in separate places. It's
yeah,
not going to work. Um, yeah, Phil and Claire taking the RV trip. So yeah, his dad's RV comes back in.
yeah. The
Mhm.
RV trip. But yeah, even like yeah, that was the one I was like, they could have, if they really wanted to, they could have done a spin-off with Cam and Mitch in Missouri. Uh, that one could have worked. They were beloved characters, blah blah.
Yeah,
Just think of how many spin-offs like the Big Bang Theory has had that,
yeah.
ended, ran for around a similar time around this time.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm surprised they didn't capitalize on yeah, the last American sitcom, literally the last sitcom to like get a huge following and affect the culture and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't do a spin-off.
Yeah, I mean, it would have
Uh,
been good, but like, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't.
yeah. Um, I love it when Cam gets the job. He explains that, like, oh well, apparently the old coach got drunk and held a press conference and blamed a lot of stuff on Jews. I was like, yeah, that's why they had to how Cam got the job.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because again, that was something that was happening. And we talked last season. There were like a bunch of references to that, like
Mhm.
somebody getting Me Too'd or like yeah, canceled in some way. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, but yeah, overall, yeah, I would say I was like, yeah, like I can't complain about how they kind of chose to end it. Uh, with yeah, the new baby and moving and like all of that, and really, what matters is yeah, I mean, I guess Cam and Mitch kind of stole the show. They have from beginning though, like season one, they had a lot of screen time and like they still did because it was a great dynamic. Uh,
And the
but
very
yeah,
final shot of just like kind of moving over the picture frames,
yeah,
old, shots of like, you even see like Cam's father in one of the pictures and stuff like that, like all the any family member um that they've had. I think even Andy was in there, who I'm surprised they didn't bring Andy back just for like a little something, but
Yeah.
Adam Devine was already making uh, probably had a million stuff going on at this
Yeah.
time. He was becoming a star.
But there it is, man. 11 fucking seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to see where this show went from season one to season 11. Because I remember just like on season three, I'm like, what more can they do? What can they do?
Yeah.
Um, but no, they do a pretty good job of like, jump the shark sometimes on a couple storylines. But for as long as it ran, it managed to not do anything like uh just egregious with the plot lines.
Yeah. And it like to run as long as it did. And I think doing it this project, rewatching it for this and looking for the woke and stuff and the cultural shifts, honestly, it could have been worse, man. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. Like they could have let that really hijack the show, and instead it just hijacks a few characters and, hijacks a few scenes that could have been better because they're dated now from like the political influence, at the time.
Hmm.
So like overall, it was just like, yeah, they handled it about as well as you could ask for like a huge, very popular show, while
Hmm.
while still having that come into it, that change in the culture happen. you know, Obviously we talked about those specific seasons where it's a little bit more evident depending on the writer's room, who was cycling in or whatever for that
Hmm.
season. But yeah, I mean, it really is. And like I said, that plaque on that fucking studio wall, Modern Family being the last thing etched on that thing, pretty fitting because it's going to be the last American sitcom that ever gets any type of big. Everybody loves it. Everybody winning all the awards. Watching it years later, it's still very funny and holds up. Like this is another one. Like I texted you about this, seeing it. Like I was at a hotel room, and I think I said this before. Like and just late night TV, like the Nick at Night stuff was playing old sitcoms. One of the sitcoms they were playing was Modern Family now. Like they're playing like Friends and Modern Family. Like it really is the last sitcom that's going to be syndicated for the next 30 years, playing on things like that, late night TV, if cable still exists 30 years from now.
Hmm.
Uh that kind of thing. It really is the end of an era. It's the end of that cultural moment that lasted for like, 70 years, 60 years.
Hmm.
Just, the American sitcom.
Like, I mean, it's weird that they were playing it on like Nick at Night, just because, yeah, I mean, Nick at Night, they have to show more modern stuff. They can't show like, The Odd Couple or whatever, like they showed when like I was younger.
Dude, they had
Um,
I Love Lucy when I was a kid would always be
yeah,
coming on like at night. Yeah.
same. It was like old shows, and now it's like, well, we need newer stuff. So it's like they reach back to like Friends is like and they're like, well, we like I guess Modern Family is the next oldest, and it's like that they can't find anything. It's
Yeah.
Modern Family's
The Big
kind
Bang
of
Theory is
it's the last
definitely
one.
in there too. But yeah,
Hmm.
Modern Family was just bigger and better, really.
Yeah,
Will probably stick around longer than The Big Bang Theory will in terms of syndication, I think.
yeah, because it's for everyone. You
Yeah.
don't have to. I don't know. I think Big Bang Theory, you have to be into the nerd culture a little bit to really find
Yeah.
it funny.
Yeah. But yeah, there it is. This, the last American sitcom, starting in the before times, the pre 2016 election times, and then shifting post 2016 election,
Like
shifting as the culture.
2008.
Yeah.
2008 it started. That's just so crazy. It was like documented the entire Obama years,
Yeah.
the Trump years, and that's where you notice those shifts.
Absolutely. And like the social media coming into it, the kind of internet culture that started taking everything over,
Mhm.
foot fetish shit online, like all
Yeah.
that they would have plot lines for this stuff. Like it tracked perfectly because it happened to be the most popular sitcom in the country when all this stuff was going down. So of course it reflects the culture at the time and like, you know, it's just a perfect guide. And I'm glad we did it. I mean, definitely worth it. And I think definitely worth to like creating a record of it too.
Yeah.
Uh, that people can go back and see it too. Like if anyone's curious, even like years from now, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you go listen to this podcast that we covered that cultural shift, baby."
Yeah. And every episode, every season.
That's for sure. All right, man. Appreciate you doing this as always, man. I think we've got almost 40 hours of this.
Uh, Awesome, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love doing it. Thanks for taking me on this journey with you. It was
Of
great.
course. And there's, of course, Eric is going to be back, listeners. We have other things planned, so we're going to
Yes.
move on to the next project here, but we'll see you guys then.
Heavy.
Bored.
Heavy.
I am heavy bored.
I may say that the male is entirely hostile. No!
Resources.
Life, friends, is boring. We must not say so. Are you radioactive now?
Inner.
Resources. American resources.
Being bored?
Some activities are intentional, right?
It shows such a lack
Heavy.
of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I
Heavy.
should say.
Bored. Heavy.
I am heavy
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.